so greetings everyone. Hope you've grabbed a beverage of your choice and are ready to learn some things about Worldschooling. So this masterclass is specifically for people who are kind of new to it. I mean, maybe you've heard about it for a while, but so many people, they don't really understand what it is. Maybe you're already in the research phase and planning, or you're thinking about it. Maybe you're not ready to pull the trigger, and hopefully this masterclass will help you figure that out. Maybe you've launched already, but you still have lots of questions because it's not super easy to just launch into it and do it like it's a piece of cake. It can be quite overwhelming at times, and it can be complicated for a lot of people. So let me know if you're already launched and if you're on that path and how things are going. Or maybe you're an experienced world schooler like Janelle, and you're watching this for fun, or you're a part-time world schooler. So if so, help me answer some of the questions, oh, you wise ones. So welcome, and thanks so much for joining this masterclass. As I mentioned, I only do this once or twice a year nowadays. Sometimes I do workshops where I invite you to do a workshop with me, and we just have a discussion. So stay tuned, get on my email list if you want to be invited to that. But today we're doing a quick masterclass, not quick, two plus hours on how to become a Worldschooling and trailblazing family. I call us trailblazing families because we are trailblazers. I think more and more families will be doing this in the coming years. And so those of us on the forefront, we are trailblazers, we're pioneers, right? Again, my name is Lizz Quain. I'm really honored to have all of you here to spend time with me and learn more about this amazing lifestyle. I do have this presentation to share, and I'll also be answering questions throughout the talk in the live stream. So please ask me the questions in the chat, and I'll look at them from time to time if I can scroll down and look at them. I may not be able to answer all of them in super detail due to the time constraint, but I do have a solution for that. So stay tuned. I did put this masterclass together to help people launch, or at least think about how to launch into a world school lifestyle. There's a lot that goes into starting off on in this lifestyle. We call it a lifestyle. It's a way to learn, but it's also a lifestyle. And so hopefully this masterclass will give you some introductory information, some good tips, and help you figure out if this is even a good situation for you and if your family can do it. So I'm really glad to have you here. My kids and I, we have been world schooling for most of the past 8 years, since 2016. August of 2016, we just celebrated our 8th nomad-versary. And I love nothing more. Seriously, it's my mission to help others launch into this amazing lifestyle, because then we have more families to hang out with in this amazing world of ours. So this picture here, and it's also my background virtual screen, it's of my girls when they were 7, and we were doing a little trek in Bali in Ubud, and it inspired me to name this new program Trailblazing Families. And again, this Zoom I often use. The image means a lot to me. And I hope you guys will go there someday. Janelle, let me know if you've been there. It's a Kampanhum Walk. I forget how to pronounce that. So it's a very inspirational place, at least for me. Okay, so a quick bit about me. As I mentioned, I'm a world schooling parent, and luckily there are more and more of us. Nowadays, many of us can work remotely anywhere in the world that we have the internet. So it makes me a digital nomad. I'm also an entrepreneur. I've run a few businesses. And for the past couple of years, I've been kind of called a world schooling advocate, expert, and leader. I have a course on how to travel as a family and how to world school. I also offer one-on-one coaching. And I've also given a number of talks in person or online on this subject, in podcasts and videos and World School Summits and Digital Nomad Summits. So it's become a giant passion of mine. And, you know, others are now starting to seek me out as an expert on this topic. It's my favorite thing to talk about. I am originally from the Seattle area, but I've lived in a few different US cities, New York, San Francisco, and LA, and other magical locales around the world. I actually was born in South Korea. I lived there till I was 9. My mother is Korean. My dad's American. His background is Irish and German. So I'm really into family genealogy, and I've met cousins and distant cousins in these 3 countries. I recently, a year ago, met a 7th cousin in Germany. He's really into genealogy genealogy, and we connected on a ancestry.com. My cousin, my first cousin runs our little family tree there. Anyway, so I'm super interested in genealogy and other cultures around the world, maybe because of my upbringing growing up in Seoul, Korea. I'm kind of a third culture kid. Have you heard that phrase? Although Korean is my mom's culture, so I'm kind of half a third culture kid. I don't know if I did that math right. Anyway, but then again, my brother and sister are not that interested in traveling in other cultures, so maybe it's just me. And pre-kids, I did travel a lot. I backpacked around the world as a young woman, and then another time I lived in Spain for a year. I've lived in several other countries short term, and I often, tried to take international trips whenever I had a break from work. So I'm up to about nearly 50 countries, but throughout 6 continents. But I'm not the type of person to try to go to 150 countries. I've visited my favorite countries repeatedly, so we just go to where we like to go. We don't really have this giant bucket list. But now I'm a happy solo parent of 15-year-old twin girls. They're fraternal twins. You will see their photos a lot in this presentation. And I really feel if I can do this as a solo parent of 2, so can many, many others. Yes, most World School parents that I meet are partnered. I would say maybe 70, 80%, maybe 90%. But I do know I meet lots of single parents, solo parents, or married parents that are happily married but traveling solo with the kids because the spouse can't take time off work. So it's usually the mom traveling, but they will, travel solo, and then the spouse may meet them during the trip. So it's possible for more and more people. Don't feel like you have to have this big team to go with you physically or tons of prior travel experience. I and your Trailblazing Families community can be your team virtually. And don't feel like you have to be super worldly or well-traveled to start out. So many people from many different backgrounds and experience levels are launching into this lifestyle, especially now with my help. So my background professionally, I have worked in sales and marketing, mostly in the magazine business and also the internet business. So that's why I was living in the big cities like San Francisco and New York. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm also an alternative education advocate. Ever since I had kids, my twins, in 2009, I launched and ran and then later sold a large almost 800 square meter, which is about 8,600 square feet, indoor children's play cafe. It was a crazy business. It had a large imaginative play space and 3 birthday party rooms, one of which was like this pretty pink ballet studio. We had dance classes during the week, and then on the weekends, we'd have girly birthday parties, and we had like more gender neutral birthday party rooms as well. And then during the week, stay-at-home moms and dads and nannies and grandparents would come and, hang out, have really amazing coffee and food while their little ones played. And then I also had a preschool, a play-based preschool. So it was a really insane business. I don't recommend it on anyone because it was so hard and it wasn't that profitable. I was working initially 100 hours a week. And it was a lot of fun for my kids, but not super profitable for me because I was just too nice to charge the high prices that I should have charged to pay all the rent and overhead and payroll and taxes and all of that. So I sold the business in 2016, thankfully, because I know of other people who launch this type of business and then burn out and can't sell it. Some people file bankruptcy. It's awful. So when I was trying to sell the business, it did take a while because I was trying to do it quietly. I didn't want my customers to freak out. That's when I heard about the whole digital nomad world schooling thing. Well, first I heard about digital nomadism, and there was a family who gave a talk at the REI, the sports place in downtown Seattle. So I drove down there even though I had a million things to do, to watch that talk. I met them. I later saw them traveling and just started hearing about it and the Facebook groups to join. And I just threw myself into researching on how to live this lifestyle and how to fund it. So that was around 2014 or 2015. So I'd kind of been in the throes of this lifestyle for a while. And also school wasn't really working out for at least one of my kiddos who has ADHD. She was just used to exploring in my play cafe and the preschool and learning through play and imagination and creating. And Then all of a sudden she had to sit still in kindergarten and, you know, start learning this academic stuff. And they wanted her to sit still in the circle time and stop going around and touching everything in the classroom and obey and behave and listen. It was just really hard for her little ADHD body as a 5-year-old to do that. So I got called in a couple times to meet with, you know, 10 different staff members and teachers and school principal about what are we going to do with Aubrey. And yeah, so why won't she just sit still and conform? So yeah, is my internet okay? It just flashed. I want to double check. I think it's okay. Oh, Anna's from Seattle. Oh, yes, we chatted earlier, newbie launching. Awesome. Okay, I think I'm still live. I just saw the little green light flicker for a bit. Okay, so back to this. But yeah, the teachers, I mean, no fault to them, but the school system just needs kids to sit and obey and stop being curious. It was a little tough for her. So after first grade, I pulled them out of the school system, and that's when I sold my business. We left August of 2016, and initially I just wanted to take a year off just to travel and have a break because I really didn't have a lot of vacations because I was working so much, 7 days a week. So we decided to try it for a year and see if we liked it. And here we're going on 8 years. Well, for 6, 7 years, we were doing it mostly full time. And the past couple of years, we've been Worldschooling part-time. My girls are now teens, and while plenty of teens Worldschool, and many start Worldschooling when they're teens, my girls wanted to attend this really cool alternative school. It's a school of the arts high school in my mom's town. So that's what we're doing now. And we travel part-time. We spent the summer in the UK and Ireland, and we had an amazing time. So we have lots of cool trips planned for the future. And so I've been a digital nomad also since 2016. And let me know in the chat if you're already working remotely. And let me know if you've moved on from working in your house outside to maybe working in an RV, perhaps, and driving around your country and road schooling, or maybe you've taken it international already and are working out of your Airbnb or whatnot. So I've remotely done some sales and marketing consulting. I launched a few products on Amazon, which was a disaster. Amazon is great to shop on, but not to sell on, at least for me. I just couldn't deal with whenever there was a problem, emailing back and forth with a robot. It was just really crazy. So I just don't have that personality. You could never really get a real person to help me. I did teach English online to Chinese kids part-time for a while for fun and extra income. It was really easy and great, except for waking up in the middle of the night sometimes. Unfortunately, those opportunities have decreased since the Chinese government changed things, and they don't want us North Americans to be teaching their kids. And then I did help launch and run an online global school for 3 years. And while I was there, I learned a bunch about better ways for kids to learn. And then I left that position at the end of 2021. Took some time off to travel with my kids and Worldschool and go to a Worldschool hub and just hang out with lots of Worldschool families and think about my next move. I was thinking about becoming a digital nomad career coach for parents, especially. I did give a presentation for our Worldschool Summit on 200 income ideas to fund family travel and Worldschooling, because that is one of the main 3 questions that people ask. The number one is how to fund this lifestyle, how to travel with kids, like all the logistics, the planning, the lifestyle and such, and then how to educate the kids. So that's kind of the main Worldschooling digital nomad family questions that people have. And so I'm tackling the first 2 with my Trailblazing Families program, which I launched January of 2023. But for the first question, the funding, I do provide a big list of 200 income ideas. Let me just show you here on my website, trailblazingfamilies.com. So if you click here, you can ask for it, the list of Trailblazing or 200 income ideas, and just give me your name and email, and I'll pop it over to you automatically. And yeah, so people used to have to chase me down for this list, but now it's all set up automatically, thanks to technology, to a program that I'm using run by another Worldschooling mom. Okay, so I'm going to just put it in the chat if I can. Last time I was waiting, people were wanting me to, there we go. People were waiting me to paste things like at the end of my talk. Robin has worked remotely for 30 years. Awesome. That's wonderful. Rebecca's a travel agent. Wonderful. Okay, super. Okay, so again, I try to guide people in the right direction for income, but other than my big list of income ideas at this time, I don't have the bandwidth to go beyond sharing the list. And please note, it did take me a long time to put together that list. I put it together for a Worldschooling summit, and I personally met people who do these very obscure jobs and businesses that are on that list. I have had a blogger take that list and post half of it on her blog and didn't credit me. So that's not cool. So please do not steal other people's work, copyright infringement, if you don't know. And other world schoolers they eventually tell me. The world school world is small. So pretty please don't copy other people's work and pass it off as your own. So again, I don't coach people on how to launch an online business. I did interview an Aussie mom named Kelly Cadentinas, which I'll mention later in the masterclass. So again, remote work, starting an online business, there's other people who can help you with that, but I just try to help you with the resources and point you in the right direction. I have recently been asking my network with other digital nomads to figure out who is the best digital nomad career coach to refer you all to. And I've gotten a handful of names, but they're mostly, you know, kind of single, child-free people. And I don't know, I feel like a lot of you want somebody at least with a kid, you know, because a lot of these younger digital nomads, they might not understand our lifestyle and our interests and, you know, just what it's like to have juggle work and kids and Worldschooling. Anyway, so let me know in the chat if you're interested, say digital nomad career coach, and I will try to keep looking for one. And I just think that a lot of people I know, they coach like one specific thing, you know, how to be a copywriter or how to launch such and such business. And I think there's such a big variety of everyone's backgrounds. I think we first need to have someone who can help you take your previous experiences and skills and see what's transferable and look at your passions and your interests, and then help you figure out to, you know, how you can work online or by moving from place to place, you know, like hosting yoga retreats or whatnot. So, or perhaps you may want to launch a World School Hub. This is something that is really popular. And I wanted to share that I am collaborating with several leading World School Hub founders on a course that is launching. We're hoping early winter. We've been talking about it for a while. It's been really hard for us to launch this course when everyone's so busy running their hubs. And I've been running my course, and we're also traveling and world schooling our own kids. So we are diligently working on it. And the leads on this course are myself, Kate McAllister, who runs the Hive in the Dominican Republic, and she's now launching a Hive in the Pyrenees in Spain. And then Rachel Carlson, she runs the World School pop-up hubs. Those are week-long pop-ups around the world. She has a website, and then now other World Schooling families will host a week-long pop-up and use her platform. So we also have several experienced World School Hub founders as guest experts that are going to be joining us. So we're doing this course as launching and successfully running World School Hubs is quite complicated. We've seen many of them come and go. It's still the Wild West. And while most World School Hubs are run pretty well, there's a few kind of winging it and making lots of mistakes. And the expectations of some guests are really high. So we're trying to tame the Wild West and help hub creators level up and run them more professionally so they don't burn out, they don't have lots of problems. And again, we plan to launch this early winter, late fall 2024, early winter. Again, it's been just a challenge for us to get it done. But we will, and it's going to be led by the most experienced and well-regarded World School Hub community facilitators. And then I'm going to be more the moderator, MC, and I've helped with some of the content, but it's going to be mostly them. And I will be interviewing a lot of the guest experts and handling all the tech stuff. Okay, so type in the chat if you are interested in the World School Hub course, and I'll put you on the wait list. And I'm in the process of building a website, so I will announce all the details soon, and then we'll have a masterclass that will explain everything. Okay, so do you think it would be helpful to have a digital nomad career coach to help you make a decision about what type of a career or business that you should pursue and point you in the right direction? I mean, again, they can't really train everyone how to do every job, but maybe they can point you in the right direction. And like I said, most that I know of, they don't have kids. So I don't know if that's important to you. Let me know in the chat. You know, some of them are just grinding it. They hustle and grind and they have their Lamborghinis. These are the guys. Or, you know, they just live a totally different lifestyle and they can't really relate to us parents maybe. So let me know what you prefer, and then I could do more research on who is the best person to refer you to if that's of interest to you. Okay, so since more and more people post-pandemic are working remotely, I decided to first tackle helping parents launch into the lifestyle as a family, and then all the, you know, planning, logistics, the traveling with kids, all the lifestyle stuff, you know, lifestyle optimization. I often say it's not a vacation, it's a lifestyle. And also the education bit, because that's a big passion of mine, and I've worked a bit in alternative education. So the travel bit and the education bit, that's my focus and what I have the most knowledge and experience in. I am interested in the digital nomad lifestyle scene. I plan to live this lifestyle for years to come, even after my kids have flown the coop. I gave a talk at Bansko Nomad Fest in Bulgaria in 2023 about Worldschooling, and this summit, you know, had like 700 people show up in my session. I was trying to encourage the younger digital nomads that yes, you can still be a digital nomad with kids. You don't have to go back to your home countries and put them in school. So it was well attended. I had like 90 people show up, which was great. And they asked me lots of questions in the hallway after my talk for like the longest time. We got in trouble because we were being too loud. Anyway, but some of them were single and not yet partners. Some were coupled, and some did have young kids that were there and they were curious about the education bit. I also met with a group of Israeli families several days later. Somebody organized a small summit that I couldn't stay in town for, so they organized a get together. So I gave them a little chat about Worldschooling, and honestly, thank goodness that these Israeli parents are able to work remotely because of the war situation. I think for many of us, if we're able to work remotely or can learn the skills to someday work remotely, start an online business or become a freelancer, that would give our families more options on location, and we'd be able to flee, at least temporarily, any war zones. I've met Ukrainians and Russians who were able to do this and leave their countries due to the conflict. They're living in other countries and working online and still being able to earn an income and survive. So whether it's due to war, which hopefully won't be happening to your country, or violence, climate issues, economic or political problems, super high inflation, that's hitting a lot of people, or whatever calamities might befall us in the future, I think it's a good idea for us parents and to figure out a location independent job or business. And if we're not able to do so, to encourage our kids to do so, because to become digital nomads, at least to have the option of it, gives you so many more opportunities and freedom to live a different life and possibly a better life. Okay, let me try to check for questions here. The World School Hub class. Okay, awesome. Robin, I'll put you on the list. Izzy, yes. Yvette, it's kind of hard to say concentrated. Yes, there will be a replay, Yvette. If you're on my email list, I will email it to you. Kind of reply to your thing. I can't seem to scroll down and see any more comments. That's really weird. Just 5 of them. Okay, so sorry, I am just going to be checking the most recent comments. And again, write question if you can before your question, before your sentence. That would be easier for me to find it later on. Okay, so far my kids and I, we've traveled to, we're up on 22 countries together outside the US and counting. We're typically slow travelers. Sometimes we do fast travel, and that's very tempting for newbies to do this. But we're not, again, the type of family to try to go to every single country on earth. I have interviewed people who have been to 100, 150. I've interviewed a couple of people who have been to almost all of them. So I have a big interview series, and I'll share the directory of interviews in a bit. So we are typically slow travelers. I have a post. Let me see, is this it? yeah, I'll try to share this with you. Why do we prefer to slow versus fast travel? And I don't really blog. I should blog. I should just take a lot of these blog type posts on Facebook and start a blog. So send me a friend request if you're interested in seeing these types of posts, because sometimes I share them in my the Facebook group and sometimes I don't. I've been a little inconsistent. So I have a post about why we prefer to slow travel, and I will paste it in a second. But again, we mix it up now. So it depends on what our travel or world schooling goals are. We'll talk about goals in a second. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the chat. The last time I did a masterclass, people were asking me for links and I did them later. So I'm trying to do them now, prepare them. Okay, so I have been studying world schooling and digital nomad stuff for a while, probably since 2014. It took me a couple years to launch because I was trying to sell my business, but there was just not a lot of information out there at the time. So this is why I put together my program. So you don't have to spend the 2+ years like I did researching how to do the lifestyle in a good way and don't muck it all up. So again, I'm involved in the digital nomad world as well as the world school world. My kids have learned in many different ways. They've attended local schools in Peru and Mexico. Again, they attended that online school that I helped launch and run for 3 years. We have visited a bunch of world school hubs, organized ones and casual ones. And in my Trailblazing Families program, I do talk about the difference and I talk about pros and cons of everything. So I share also a big list of world school hubs. I think I have nearly 100 of them. And it's difficult to keep that one updated because they come and go. So I have to update it regularly. And again, this is why we're launching that course on how to run a successful and sustainable world school hub. Because, you know, a lot of well-meaning world school parents launch a hub and they don't anticipate the challenges and they decide to stop. So I have also hired nannies. I hired a Spanish-speaking nanny in Colombia and also in Mexico to help my girls and also to speak Spanish with them. I've had tutors for my girls in various different countries and different types of tutors in person and then online, especially Spanish. They also took an awesome online marine science class with Cicero Learning, which was launched by World School parents. If you dig around this group, you'll find the interview I did with the founders of Cicero. And if you mention Trailblazing Families, you'll get a discount with them. I always ask whenever I interview an online school or program, can the audience get a discount? So try to ask. We also have practiced self-directed learning, also known as unschooling. So we've done a bunch of stuff, and I haven't been a super hands-on homeschooling mom to my kids because I'm usually really busy working, but I've outsourced it, right? That helps too. But I have facilitated their self-directed learning and helped them learn in a way that works well for them in each stage of their development. And as I mentioned before, my girls chose to go back into the school system. It's an alternative school, an arts high school. There's lots of project-based learning, and they also attended a middle school Montessori for a bit. And guess what? Pulling them out of school when they were 7 and all the different ways my girls learned while we were traveling and world schooling, it did not mess them up. In fact, I think these experiences actually benefited them a great deal, and they're both doing great with their learning, including my ADHD kiddo. So over the years, I have learned so much about world schooling just from doing it myself and also from other families. Again, I've traveled to nearly 50 countries and my kids and I have been to 22. So it's a little different now to travel with kids. It's awesome. It's wonderful to see the world through their eyes. We have been learning about different cultures and exploring the world. It's a huge passion for my kids, and luckily it's an interest of my kids as well. I'm also passionate about the best ways for kids to learn. As I mentioned, I launched and later sold a play cafe. The picture on the right, upper right, is the picture of part of the play area. It was like 2-3 times that size. And my business, again, also had a play-based preschool where students aged 2.5 to 5 learn through imaginative play, exploration, and socializing. I'm a big fan of Peter Gray, who's written the book Free to Learn, and he's a big fan of learning through play and self-directed learning. I also co-hosted a homeschooling global summit, and again, all the online learning stuff that I was involved in. So I've been involved in the education space, the kind of more progressive education options for a while. And all of these experiences helped me realize that there's so many better ways for kids to learn outside the walls of a traditional classroom. And I'm sorry, I'm happy to have this debate with anyone who thinks that the traditional school system is going great. Because for me, I feel like it's really antiquated. It's not preparing our kids well for the future, for the 21st century with skills, the global future, which is another reason why I think it's good for kids to travel and world school. The world can be their classroom. There's so much to learn nowadays online or in person via local schools around the world. I have a big list of both options in my course, and I regularly interview innovative education company founders. And Worldschooling is also a super way to learn a new language. I hear sometimes people say, oh, I want to wait until my kids are older so they remember things, our travels. And I disagree, because when your kids are young, that is the best time for them to learn a new language, when their brains are like sponges. You know, they can easily learn a second or third, maybe a fourth language with a good accent. And again, it's not so much about what they'll remember. I mean, you know, all these travel and world schooling experiences, you know, are they going to remember everything? Probably not, but that's not the point. The point is it becomes part of who they become, right? Part of who they are as a human being. And, you know, think about it. You read books to babies and toddlers, right? Not because you expect them to understand everything or remember every word and picture on the page, but to expose them to the words and pictures. It's helping them for later when they learn to read, and world schooling is the same thing. Exposing them to other places, people and cultures, language, food, etc. It's all a good thing. And we're not talking, again, about a Disney vacation. We're talking about world schooling and immersing into other cultures and becoming global citizens, not tourists. And they can do this from birth. I have world school friends who have given birth in different countries. There's one mom who's had 3 kids in 3 different countries. And sometimes your kids can earn an extra passport that way. So you don't have to wait until they're a certain age. I mean, I do think when kids are toddlers, it can be tricky, especially if you have a runner like I did. My Aubrey was such a runner when she was little. So if that's the case, I would definitely hunker down somewhere for a while and really slow travel and find a place that's really baby proofed, and stay away from swimming pools and bodies of water. Also, your kids can learn at local schools around the world. There are daycares and preschools and world school hubs. They can learn through tutors. There's so many different ways for kids to learn. And I have met in real life literally hundreds of other world schooling families, either at world school hubs, like the photo at the top is in Bansko, Bulgaria. We've gone to that winter ski hub twice, and it's awesome. My friend Emmy runs it, and she might have a bit of space left this coming winter going into spring. Her hub runs for a few months, I think 2 or 3 months. So if you're interested, reach out and I'll introduce you to her. I think she was in the past giving a 10% discount if you mention Trailblazing families, but I think that's only if there's space, because sometimes it does fill up. And then the picture at the bottom is a World School pop-up in Florence, Italy that we attended spring of 2023. And a few of the families there we had met previously in other countries, or we've been Facebook friends for a while and we finally met in person. Or we just travel and meet people family to family. And I have learned so much from all these families about how they all live their lives and how their kids learn. I'm really curious, and I'm always asking, you know, like, what do your kids do for learning? Are they learning online? Which local schools or hubs have you enjoyed? So I have found that there's so many ways to learn. And plus, I also ask, you know, how do you fund the lifestyle? Because I like talking about the whole digital nomad thing. And then, you know, I often share my story here or on podcasts or whatnot about how my kids have been learning, but I don't really focus that much about how we do it. It's the way many different people do it. So if you haven't seen my video, visit this website again and get the top 6 ways kids can learn while world schooling at trailblazingfamilies.com. So it's about an hour-long video, and I just give a brief overview of the top 6 most popular ways. Obviously, my course goes super in depth into each way, including pros and cons of each way, which should help you decide which way is best for each individual kid of yours. Again, I'm going to post again in the chat and also check it. How are you guys doing there? Awesome. Let me know if you have any questions of anything I'm saying. And then also as part of the Trailblazing programs, Trailblazing Families program, I interview many other Worldschooling parents as I like to find out how other families world school. And there's, again, so many different ways to do it. So I have an interview series, currently over 85 video replays that I've posted for free. They've live streamed for free in this group. And that's they're about 45 minutes to an hour long, sometimes a little longer. So basically about 85 hours worth of content about Worldschooling that you can watch for free. And this is my gift to the Worldschooling community. Let's see, I'm going to where is it? I'm going to copy and paste my directory. Let me show it to you real quick. So they are in the Facebook group, which let me just show you. If you go to the guide section here, you'll see so many here. Guide 1, 2, 3. I kind of did them every season. So there's 5 of them, but there's so many of them. I put them in this Google Doc directory of Trailblazing Families guest experts. So I have it broken out by lifestyle and health and finance related. I interview travel insurance companies and tax experts, and people talk about traveling via RV or boat. Let's see, mileage, credit card stuff, renting out your house on Airbnbs. I've interviewed a bunch of Worldschool book authors, bloggers, YouTubers, etc. And then house sitting, we talk about traveling with pets, with special needs, single parents, Worldschool families of color, finding and creating community, working as a digital nomad. I don't do a lot of those. There's only a few. Expat transition, returning home. And then the next part is education related, homeschooling, online schools, online tutors, etc. And then I even interview some grown world schoolers. There's not that many of them. We talk about how to get kids into university, all of that. So I'm going to paste right now my directory. Please bookmark it because it's all there. Trying to paste, Control V. There we go. Oh, I did it twice. Okay, so click on the link and bookmark it because there's lots of really amazing information in there. Yeah, again, so many of them. Hopefully that directory will help. Again, I don't want to just tell you how we do it. I want to explain all the different ways to World School. I really like talking about the pros and cons of each way because for each kid, it can be different. We're all different learners. There are different ways for us to learn. We have different interests and learning styles. So one way is not the right way for everyone. Let me just make sure everything is good. Yeah. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure we were still streaming. I do sometimes see blogs out there or books or homeschooling or unschooling experts, posting, and they really promote their way to do it, or posts from parents who have been world schooling for many years. And they often say, this is the way we do it, which is great. But I think I would rather show kind of a whole buffet of different ways to learn in world school and then have you parents choose, decide for each individual child of yours what works for them, because every child is different and what might work for one of your kids might not even work for the sibling, or it depends on your goals. Are you traveling for a gap year, or are you going to be traveling for years to come, or just a summer? So what are your goals? So this is how I handle it. I don't really, push my way, the way that I've done it. I've researched and interviewed so many different ways, and I share it with you all. And we often talk about the pros and cons in the Facebook Facebook group, and also our weekly meetings during the course. So hopefully that will help you make a decision on how to educate your kids. So obviously this is a big passion of mine. This is why I launched Trailblazing Families. The Japanese have this word called ikigai, which is kind of your purpose in life. It's something that you're passionate about, that you're good at, that's something that the world needs. And I don't know, does the world need more world schoolers? I mean, I think we're going to do it. More and more are going to do it anyway. And so I'm there to help people do it well and not stumble too much. And then something that people will pay you for. So you've got to find that sweet spot of those 4 things. So this is what I'm doing. It's my life purpose. And this is why I launched the program. I'm not, I'm just very passionate about travel and education, especially those 2 things. Obviously the digital nomad stuff, I'll help you guys, get started, and in the future, I may delve more into that. So we have this Facebook group now. We've got close to 10,000 members, and it's grown so much in the past several months. I think it was only about 4,000 members a year ago. So please invite your friends to this group. If they have kids and they're interested in Worldschooling, they can watch this replay later. And then eventually I'll get this video on YouTube so you can share it with more people. Again, in the interview series with experienced Worldschoolers and service providers, I have so far 85 interviews. You can binge watch them. Forget Netflix, just binge watch on them. And you can learn a ton about Worldschooling and get inspired by other Worldschooling families. Also, you can learn from Worldschool service providers. That's what I call them, like the travel insurance companies, the financial and tax experts about Worldschooling. About how to handle all of that. Also, I interview some Worldschool hub leaders and online learning programs, like the really good ones, the progressive ones. I'm really picky about who I interview. So for the time being, I've decided to cut down on doing so many new interviews because 85 is already overwhelming for even my course participants to watch. So I'm getting them bit by bit onto my YouTube channel, and please subscribe. I will put this in the chat and also show it to you real quick. If you like to watch YouTube, I don't have all of my videos up there. They're all in my Facebook group, but I have, I don't know, like 64 of them. So I'm getting more and more. So please subscribe to that. And then let's see. I'm also planning to turn these interviews into an audio podcast. So type podcast in the chat if you would like me to do so. So then you can listen to them while you're on the go, in the car, traveling, on an airplane, all that kind of stuff. So the biggest thing I've done is I've created a super comprehensive and well-liked course for parents on Worldschooling. It's got 25 hours worth of training videos, and don't worry, you can speed it up. It's basically like I wrote a 500 or 600 page book about the topic, but it's in course and video format. I have this presentations, and I also do a lot of demos on different websites of how I do things. So I've been running it as a group program, and I host weekly Zoom Q&As and discussions. I had the beta back in January 2023. It went really well. I've run 5 cohorts so far of 12 weeks each, and I have, the 12 main modules. I was running these cohorts 3 times a year, but I'm soon changing things. So stay tuned, and I'll explain later on in this masterclass how it will run moving forward. And many of my previous participants, they've been launching and having the time of their lives. They've been posting on social media about how they have loved my course and how it's helped them immensely. Even those who did a short trip as a trial, and I've had many people who took my course just to do a gap year. So I have actually interviewed 4 parents who took my beta cohort, and I'll share with you the link on that.
Hi, everyone.
So I have Sonia, Jeff, Tiffany. She goes by Santorini, I think, on Facebook, and then Charlotte. So they launched, I think, almost 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. And so this is a video talking about how things are going. So let me just copy and paste that in a second. But Charlotte, she had already been traveling when she heard about my course, and she said she was kind of winging it and was overwhelmed. So she joined my course and to really figure out how to do it in a nicer way. And she's now, I think, on year 2 or 3, and things are going much better, and her teens are thriving. In fact, I'm interviewing one of them later this week for a possible virtual assistant position that I have. And then again, Tiffany and Jeff and Sonia, they did a gap year, and they're actually all back, or almost all going to be back. And so they were my guinea pigs. They took my first course in January 2023, and they've had so many cool adventures. They've got closer as a family. They grew so much as human beings. Their kids are really thriving, and it's just been a life-changing experience for them. Okay, so I also offer one-on-one coaching for specific needs. Sometimes people have been world schooling for a while. They reach out to me because there's a specific issue or they have a problem or a need. So they would just want to talk to somebody who's maybe a bit more in the know than they might be. Sometimes I have people who are on the fence about whether or not to world school, book a session with me, or folks who have specific questions they ask before they launch. So obviously, I think anyone who's new to this should just take my course, because often they ask me questions during our Zoom, which are all in the course. But some prefer to just ask me some targeted questions and then wing the rest. So that is basically me in a nutshell. You know, in 2016, I got out of the rat race. Maybe you're tired of it as well. Tired of it. Type in sick of the rat race in the comments if you also can relate. I got burned out from running an intense children's business, you know, 100 hours a week at first. And then even at the end, I was still working 70 hours a week at least. And, you know, maybe you have a intense corporate job. I've been there too, working in San Francisco and New York for startups and corporates, jobs. Maybe you have a crazy commute. Maybe there's something stressful going on in your life. I've had parents who took my course after they lost their parents or a spouse and suddenly they're a widow, or they survived cancer. I've had a couple of people take it, you know, because they realize that life is short and it's just time to carpe diem, seize the day and just go on an adventure. So again, that's what I decided to do. I sold my business. I pulled my twins out of traditional school and we started Worldschooling, and we've had an amazing experience and it's still going. We've learned so much about the world, about different cultures. We've eaten amazing food. I'm a little bit of a foodie. One of my twins is as well. We've even learned to cook some of it. And I really like finding cooking classes that the whole family can go to. That's really fun. And it's fun to go as with a group of other world schoolers. We've had so many adventures in nature or in big cities or in small towns. We have visited many historical sites and archaeological sites. We've learned Spanish. Well, my Spanish is intermediate. One of my daughters is getting pretty good, and she's also learning a bit of German, and the other one is learning Korean and Spanish. So, you know, we've met so many interesting people, locals, as well as other world schoolers and digital nomads and expats. We now have friends all over the world, and our bubble has just gotten so much bigger. I think, you know, we all, sorry, that's my cough drop I had to put in my mouth. We all live in a bubble, and some have a small bubble, you know, maybe they're living in a small town their whole life and they never leave and they're fine with it. But others, and maybe you're one of them, you want to expand your bubble a little bit and explore your country or other countries or the whole world, which is really fantastic. So if so, you have come to the right place. But yeah, it's truly my mission to help parents. Hopefully you guys learn how to confidently travel and world school your children. So your kids can live their lives. You all can live your lives of your dreams as thriving global citizen. The world is getting smaller thanks to the internet. There's so much we can do now for work or learning or finding community. World schooling is so fantastic. So I want to help more people make this happen. Okay, so that's my background, and let's get into the masterclass. But let me just check right now, see if there's any questions. You guys are a little quiet. Robin wants a podcast, yay. Okay, also let me know if anyone else is interested in the podcast. I mean, I have to just transfer everything to an audio file and edit then and all that. Okay, so these are the topics that we're going to be talking about today. First, let's talk about the definition of world schooling, because some people don't exactly know what it is. Some people think that we all do the same thing, the same way. We have our kids follow some special kind of world schooling curriculum, and that we all go to the same places, which sometimes we do. But there's many ways to world school. We'll talk about the benefits, the pros and cons, and we'll discuss whether this is the right lifestyle for you. There are some people who think everyone can world school, and I think you have to have some ducks in a row. So we'll go through that, and we'll talk about mindset, because I think you need to get into a good mindset about this. A lot of people want to world school, but they're afraid. So we'll talk about fear, how to handle that. and also about setting goals. And I will share some tips on how to get started. And then, of course, I'll be mentioning my How to World School and Travel Extensively as a Family group course that's so fun to participate in and really handy for those of you who want to be well prepared and not make any costly newbie mistakes. I have come across far too many families who have lost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on newbie mistakes, or they've wasted a lot of time or energy, or they've had many stressful situations occurring due to not knowing how things work, or they weren't on the same page with their partner or kids and ended up cutting short their world schooling trip or gap year, which is a shame because, it's a lot going on. It's not just a vacation for a week. Usually people world school for at least a couple months, right? If not a year or longer. So again, I have a solution for that, all of that. And all right, so let's talk about world schooling. What is it? The following is a definition by Lainey Liberty. She's the blonde woman in this picture. And for a few years before I met her in person, she was one of the world schoolers that I was following. She was posting content and I got inspired by her, as well as other people. I was following a bunch of digital nomads and world schoolers at the time. She was the admin of the big World Schoolers Facebook group for a while. I think it has close to 70,000 members. There was a dramatic breakup between the admins, and then she started the We Are World Schoolers group. So you might be a member of that one too. And she and her son, Moreau, they run the Project World School teen retreats. They used to do family retreats once or twice a year. And then COVID happened, so they put that on hold. I think they are talking about getting one started up again in Europe next year, but they're looking for someone to help partner and co-facilitate it. So if you are interested, reach out to her. So she and her son, Moreau, they have evolved a bit because, he's now well into his 20s. I've interviewed them both in my interview series, and you can find the replays again in my Facebook group and on that directory. So Lainey is now focused mostly on being a teen and parenting coach. She has written a book on parenting teens, and she and Moreau recently opened a board game cafe in, is it Guanajuato, Mexico? So they've been living there for a while. Anyway, I was inspired by her and a few other trailblazers. They were literally the original trailblazing families, right? So I finally met her in Peru, and then we hung out again in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. I attended one of her summits and I gave a talk there. Actually, she had a virtual summit that I gave a talk on, that 200 income ideas one. So we've stayed in touch online and chat from time to time. And I just really appreciate everything that she's done to help grow the world schooling community. And, now that she's focusing on other things, I'm doing my best to kind of pick up the baton and help more families world school. So this quote is from her, and she says that world schooling is the intentional act of viewing the world as one's classroom. In its simplest form, it's the act of intentionally learning from the world. It combines multi-age and experiential learning with travel and or cultural experiences to facilitate learning and discovery. And then this is a photo with her and her son, Moreau. Again, he's now in his mid-20s. And she said the term world schooling was coined over a decade ago, and it's been used by thousands of families since. I think probably tens of thousands. I've been trying to guess how many active world schooling families there are. The big World Schoolers group has, of this recording, I think close to 70,000 members. And I did do a poll there, I think a year or two ago, and I asked, so how many of you are actually world schooling? And about half were either full on doing it for years or part-time, or they've just launched, like half. So, what is that, 35,000? But then again, I meet world schooling families who are not active on social media, on Facebook. So there may be even more of them. But I think conservatively, we can estimate 20,000, you think? I bet it's more. Let me know if you think my math is wrong. Anyway, I think it's tens of thousands of families doing it now. And so she continues, world schooling has become an educational philosophy that works with each individual family's educational style. There's no single way to world school. With all the world schoolers, what all the world schoolers have in common is the desire to adopt real world experiences as inspirations to learn and go deeper. World schooling provides a world-class education to all that are faced with the demands of a highly globalized world. So thank you, Lainey, for putting together a nice definition of world schooling. And I wanted to add to that, these are my words, not Lainey's, that I don't think it requires that you travel to be considered a world schooler. You can do it from home. It's more of a mindset. It's an intentional act to include a global approach to diverse worldviews, cultures, rituals, rites, traditions, customs, history, art, languages, food, politics, religions, topical deep dives, and much more in our understanding of the world. So here's a picture of my kids before we started at the Japanese gardens in Seattle in the Arboretum. We went there and we spent like an afternoon. We checked out all the koi fish and the little turtles, and we looked at all the cute temples and the different bonsai type plants there. It was super zen. And then afterwards, we went to a local ramen restaurant, the kind that make their own noodles, their own broth, everything's from scratch. So to me, that was a world schooling experience. And if you live in a city or near a city, a lot of times they'll have an international district. They might have a Filipino day parade or various festivals. We went to a Scandinavian festival once in Seattle. Maybe they celebrate Oktoberfest or Chinese New Year. There are other cultures, especially in the States or Canada or the UK or Australia, because our countries were kind of a melting pot. And we have immigrants from many places. But even in other countries I've seen Chinatowns and Koreatowns in Latin America. We've been to Korean restaurants in Peru and Istanbul. It was amazing. So there are lots of places where this kind of a melting pot situation occurs, where there's lots of immigrants. You can explore other cultures in that town. So you may not have to travel widely to learn about other cultures. I mean, obviously you can watch lots of movies and YouTube videos about other cultures and read books and documentaries and all of that. So hopefully you can access the learning of other cultures and do some world schooling of your own in your hometown or online or, in your own country. Okay, so the alternative, world schooling is an alternative to traditional education. It's a type of homeschooling, but without the home. So the world is the classroom, and it puts the emphasis on travel and real world cultural learning experiences to create a more holistic outcome. World schooling is simply using the world around you to educate your children and yourself. I consider myself a world schooler, not just a world school mom, but a world schooler as well. And if you're traveling around in an RV, your kids, they call it road schooling. I would still call it world schooling, even if you're in your own country. So if you're from the US or Canada or Australia, these big countries where it's popular to travel around in a motorhome, your country is part of the world, right? So I don't think that you have to cross a border. You don't have to jump on a plane to world school. But then again, the nice way, the best way, the most awesome way, the most preferable way is to physically get out there in the world, to visit another country and travel around, explore and have some adventures. It's a great way to truly gain a global education. As world schoolers, we also travel to learn about other people's beliefs and cultures and customs. And this is sometimes uncomfortable. There can be culture shock when you go beyond the resort. We're not talking about being a tourist here. We're talking about really immersing in the culture and learning about the culture. Other cultures are different, so sometimes it could be a bit uncomfortable. People don't always think the way you do. They have different ideas about so many things. I do talk about this in my course quite a bit, about some of us having, privilege coming from certain backgrounds in certain countries, high income countries, and we may be going to another country that may not be as developed and saying, hey, you guys should do it the way we do it. We have it all figured out. And it's hard not to do that, but please try not to do that. Please try to be a good ambassador of your country. I try my best to do that. But, first try to learn what's happening. I really encourage you all to have an open mind and find out why the locals do what they do instead of judging them or trying to correct them all and tell them which way they should do things. I mean, within reason. I mean, there are certain things people do in the world that are harmful to others. There's some treatments of women in certain countries that are physically harmful. So obviously that I don't go for, but if it's a smaller cultural thing, I try to learn about it and see why they do it. So we go beyond tourism and we strive to immerse into the local culture and build bridges of understanding and compassion. And that is sometimes a bit hard to do if you're just going to a resort. And yeah, you might talk to the people who work at the resort, but you're not really immersing into the local culture because the workers are used to working with tourists, right? So it wasn't until I started traveling, and I think there is a difference between traveling versus touring, okay? And sometimes we do act like tourists. We do that sometimes, but you know, being a traveler is a different mindset to being a tourist. And I backpacked around the world for a year in 1999 as a young woman. And that experience totally changed my perspective of the world and my place in it. And now when I see news reports of something happening in the world, I have so much more compassion for the people suffering from whatever calamity is happening and more understanding about what's going on in the world versus before. Even as a world schooler, it's a challenge if you don't speak the language. It may not be easy meeting locals and getting to know them. It is easier to meet expats, you know, people who have been living there for a while, who immigrated there, who might speak your language. But I do encourage you all to try to go beyond the tourist activities and try to immerse yourselves a bit more in the culture. Try to go beyond the tourist bubble, beyond the cruise ship area, the resort, and really try to see how the local people live, because it's so easy for us to stay in our bubble with other tourists and even other World School families or expats. I often say to whomever wants to listen to me about World Schooling that it's not a vacation, it's a lifestyle and a way of thinking about the world. So I think it's a good idea to engage in thoughtful dialogue in order to connect with one another and our own humanity. We believe these connections create a pathway to peace and better understanding. Honestly, I think if more people around the world traveled and we got to know each other, perhaps we would have fewer wars, fewer misunderstanding. I mean, I guess Putin's pretty well traveled, but still, in general, I think for most of us, we would have more understanding about our brothers and sisters around the world. So as world schoolers, we believe our journeys have value for ourselves, our families, and the world. We truly become global citizens. And I think that is a huge goal, at least for my family, because of our increasingly interconnected world. It's more important than ever. All right, let me peek in the group and see how you guys are doing. Any questions? Yvette's getting tired. Yes, the replay will be in the group. And I will email you guys all the link as well if you signed up and registered to watch the masterclass. So I know it's really late for some of you, I think in Europe. It's really hard for me to decide which time to do it because I have people in Australia that sometimes want to watch it. Anyway, hopefully you all can watch the replay. Okay, so let's talk about why you might want a world school. Why? I mean, why don't we just all stay home and just do the same thing, live the same life over and over again? Kind of like the movie Groundhog Day. Did you ever watch that movie? I mean, most people do that. They prefer to live in a stable, predictable life, doing the same thing, having continuity. So why are we the crazy ones who want to go out there? And what are the benefits? What are the pros and cons? What are the hiccups? So I did write a big Facebook post. I have it on my personal profile. And I also posted it to my, oh, where is it? Is this it? Oh, here we go. Yeah, I'll share it with you guys. Yes, this is a post. Okay, so I made a big pro-con list of, you know, how to, why you should world school or why you should not world school. So some of the highlights, I was researching this for a while. I asked people in various Facebook groups and my world school friends, and some of them are repeats. So I have them kind of grouped by category. So some of the reasons why we do this is to learn about the world and other cultures, to be able to immerse into the local culture, to provide a better education for our children. Yep. Learn new languages, to spend quality time as a family. Yep, totally happens. It is possible. And in my course, I do talk about geographic arbitrage and the idea is to earn in dollars, pounds, or euros, or other high value currency, and then spend time in lower cost of living countries and spend in pesos, lira, or baht, whatever the currency is. And then you may not have to work so much. It'll make your lifestyle more affordable, and then you could spend more time with your family. Okay, so experience new things, to raise global citizens, to have more freedom, to live a more extraordinary life, improve mental health and personal growth. Yep. Some of us, we can get away from the rat race and having the pressures to keep up with the Joneses and all the stresses that we have back home. There's still stress when you're traveling and world schooling. It's different. And of course, you'll have less stress if you take my course, because I'll warn you about a bunch of stuff and teach you things. And then you won't make so many newbie mistakes. But, I do feel bad when I read in the World School groups about the newbies stressing out over things that to me are so basic, because I've been living this lifestyle for a while and I've traveled a lot. Some of the things are minor, but others are quite stressful. And I wish I was able to explain to them some important things, but there's just too many people just winging it. And sometimes they get themselves into a pickle and maybe lose lots of money or get really sick. Okay, so, but I do think that if you get out there and if you could figure out how to live this lifestyle nicely, it can help with mental health. If you're on medication, obviously, you should still take your medication, check with your doctor. And you can get some of the meds abroad, depending. Some are a little tricky. We've had issues in some countries getting ADHD meds for my daughter. But in other countries, it's been pretty easy. But I do think it helps with mental health once you figure it out and you focus on achieving lifestyle optimization, which we talk about in my program. So I do think it helps with mental health. To have more adventure, where is that? Here we go. Meet other like-minded families, true. I mean, I'm back in the States right now, and I meet lots of nice people, but I sure do miss my world schooling friends and other digital nomads, because they just get it, they're just more global minded and they don't sweat the small stuff. They're not really into like all the little gossip, local gossip. So I think some of us have kind of moved beyond that. Also, you can escape the daily grind. Well, it's a different daily grind. It depends on your job or business, but usually not as crazy. You can improve your finances, as it's often more affordable to travel than live back in a high income country or city, especially if you take my course. If you want to start save while traveling, I could teach you how to do that. But yeah, my course participants, in the post-course survey, they've reported that they've saved at least $1,000, if not much more, from what they learned from me. But some people go all out and spend tons of money. I mean, I think there was a post where somebody was spending $15,000 or more, maybe $20,000 a month, and they traveled for a year. That is, I don't know, they must have gone on really expensive safaris and stayed at the Ritz-Carlton or something. I mean, awesome for them. You can give back and volunteer. You can live in a safer area. I have some friends, some African-American single mom friends. They left wherever they're from, Chicago or wherever, and there's a big group of them living in Merida, Mexico, or they're living in other nice places because it's safer for their kids. Their kids will be less likely to get pulled over by police and harassed, to get shot. So it's often safer. We'll talk about safety in a little bit more. You can get away from the high cost of living. I mean, the inflation in the US is crazy. I am having such reverse culture shock being back, sticker shock actually, looking at the prices. And I was recently in the UK and last year, Germany and Italy and Ireland. And those places are not cheap either. But I have friends who are in Colombia or Bulgaria, and they're talking about, oh, we had this menu, amazing full menu del dia, the daily platter, like multiple things, plus soup and a drink for $3 US. I can't even get a tall Americano. Coffee in my town for that is closer to $5 plus with a tip. And they're grocery shopping and getting tons of groceries for, 3-4 days worth for like $30 US. It's amazing. So yes, you can get away from inflation. There is inflation all around the world, but it's better in some countries. especially if you bring dollars, pounds, euros, etc. You can get away from gun violence, racism, the rat race, anxiety, keeping up the Joneses, and on and on. And there are some cons, like you may miss your family and friends. I'm not gonna go through all of them right now. So I'm gonna copy and paste this in the chat right now. So make sure to check it out when you have a chance. But I do think it's important for your family to figure out your why, about why you want to launch into a world school lifestyle. And we'll talk a little bit more in the masterclass about figuring out your why, but perhaps this pro-con list will help you figure that out. Okay, so is world schooling possible for your family? I know that some people say world schooling is possible for everyone, but I do wish that was true, but I do think that you need some little and big ducks in a row. And one of them is figuring out how you can fund it. It's a top issue, how you can afford to do it. Maybe some of you, because of the pandemic, are now able to work from home, and your employer or whomever allows you to work wherever in the world, well, whomever allows you to continue to do that, and you don't have to stay in your town or your country. So maybe you have to work during certain work hours and time zones, but you can go abroad. Now, some people, they have jobs with financial companies or whatnot. They have very secure servers, so they're limited from leaving their country. So look into that as well. But more and more companies are allowing this, but then some companies are trying to drag you back into the office. So there are strategies to try to convince your boss to let you work remotely. Read the book, The 4-Hour Workweek, for ideas. That book came out, I think, 15 or more years ago. It's kind of the Bible for digital nomads. So it's a little, I wouldn't say it's out of date. I mean, Tim Ferriss, who wrote it, was really thinking ahead. So thumb through that book if you can. There is a chapter about how to get your boss to let you work remotely and then maybe abroad. So hopefully you can do that, or become an independent contractor, keep your job, but kind of do a 1099 in the US, the taxing. That would give you a lot more flexibility. Yes, you would lose your health insurance, but if you're going to be leaving your country, you may not be able to use it anyway. And you can purchase travel insurance or worldwide health insurance. I've interviewed some companies on that. So there are different strategies on how to handle your health and insurance. Maybe you have your own online business. That is probably the best option. Or you're a freelancer and can work online, or you have real estate investments. I know of a single mom who can travel with her son, mostly all because of the rent that she gets from her house. She bought it at a good time and paid off most of her mortgage. I also interviewed a World School mom who does well renting out her house on Airbnb. I've interviewed them both in my interview series. Maybe you're able to retire early. I know some retired US military families who are now world schooling. A couple of them have taken my course, even though they've been stationed abroad and well-traveled. They said they learned a lot from my course. Maybe you're following the FIRE movement. Have you heard of that? The Financial Independence Retire Early movement. I wish I got on that bandwagon a long time ago. Or maybe you've been able to save over the years and you can do an epic family gap year. So let me know in the chat, what's your situation? Do you already work online? Do you have some savings? Or maybe you have some passive income from rental properties or whatnot? Let me know. But if you have an in-person job, a brick and mortar job where you have to go to an office or a hospital or a warehouse or wherever you work, it's not as easy. You could work, save up money, and go travel, and then come back and get another job. I used to do that in my earlier years between backpacking or living in Spain. But now there's lots of jobs and businesses that you can do online. Maybe you have transferable skills. So take a look at my big income list. It's a bit easier if you have white collar skills, but there are some jobs out there and ways to travel cheaper and ways to get low cost or free accommodation. I go over budget options in my course. It's too many to list here. Again, so I think you should look at my 235 income ideas that you can get at my website, trailblazingfamilies.com. Now, most of them are online jobs or a business or freelancing, but some of them, I do have them listed by category: creative jobs, education jobs, real estate, investments, passive income. But my last category is moving from place to place. So perhaps you can run some retreats, yoga retreats, or again, maybe you want to host a World School Hub. And again, I'm collaborating on some with some leading World School Hub founders on the course that will come out by the end of this year. So reach out if you're interested, because many people launch a hub, they don't anticipate the challenges and they pull their hair out, or, you know, and they close their hub, or they make lots and lots and lots of mistakes and get terrible reviews. So we have seen many of them come and go. So our World School Hub course has, our team has lots of experience creating and sustaining successful World School Hubs that work well for the hub founding family and their customers. Okay, so it is a bit harder if you're an electrician or have that type of hands-on work skills. I think those jobs you get paid really well if you're doing it in the States or another high-income country, but it's hard to go to another country, especially a developing country, lower cost of living country, as that's where a lot of the world schoolers go, if you don't speak the language, and it's impossible to get a job there because they're not going to hire you, they're going to hire locals, and you probably can't get a work permit. So I do know people who will buy a cheap house in Italy in a small town, one of those dying towns, and you know, work on the house and flip it. They sell it and flip it. I also know I've heard of a group of world schoolers who are all trying to move to a certain little town in Spain. I don't know the name of it, but I heard about it. That little by little they're moving, they're buying property and building it up and having their own little world school. Well, they're becoming expats because they have to get residency, obviously. But those things are happening. And maybe you can start renovating property and then start selling them or Airbnb them out. I do know of a Spanish family. They've been world schooling for years, and the mom, she actually coaches Spanish speaking people about world schooling, and her husband is a specialist for camper vans. He's like an electrician plumbing guy and knows everything about camper vans. So that's what he does. He virtually helps people with their electrical and plumbing and whatever issues with camper van in Spanish. So he's doing that, and they've been traveling for a while. So that's pretty cool. Now, if you're interested in starting a business, oops, that's not it. Oh, I think I put it someplace else. Reach out to me if you want. Where is this? Sorry, I interviewed someone. Is this it? Oh, of course, the internet is slow now. Here we go. Okay, so I interviewed this Aussie mom. She's a homeschooling mom named Kelly Kudantanis. She has launched several businesses over the years while raising 5 kids, and now she teaches others how to do so. So let me copy and paste her info into the chat if you want to watch that specific interview. Okay, so she has some really good ideas for starting a business. So if you have figured out your income or passive income or remote job, or you have a business or you're a freelancer, I mean, you can go to Fiverr, and there's lots of freelance websites where you can do copywriting and translations. And again, look at my list, or you're able to rent your property. I did interview a gal named Kristen who gave a talk about renting out her house on Airbnb on a monthly basis and gets a nice income that way. So if you have the income thing down pat, then that will help you obviously a lot. Now, keep in mind that if you plan to slow travel or in lower cost of living countries and do some budget travel hacks, you don't need to earn so much money as you currently do. But let's get back to this. Is this lifestyle possible? So if you have the income figured out, and if you don't have responsibilities or obligations at home, if you don't have to take care of sick parents or take care of some other major thing, maybe you have a complicated brick and mortar business that you can't sell, or you can't train people to manage it for you while you're away, let me know in the comments. What is holding you back? Do you have anything keeping you from doing this? Whether it's taking care of, again, aging family members, or maybe you have lots of pets or farm animals. Are you healthy enough to travel? There are people I meet who have health issues and they still travel. They've got a cane and they've got some physical issues, or their kids have some issues and they have to bring special food for them because they have lots of allergies, food allergies or whatnot. I still see them challenging. Obviously, they have to figure out how to manage their health issues and travel. One of my girls and I, we both have some minor health issues with our thyroid. So we have gotten healthcare around the world, ultrasounds, blood drawn. So it's been pretty good. But obviously there are some health and physical issues that are a bit too much to overcome and be able to get on a plane and walk on cobblestone streets and whatnot. I highly recommend that you talk to your doctors about this. I mean, it depends on your doctor. They might say, oh my God, it's scary to go anywhere outside of our town. But there is plenty, there are tons of wonderful healthcare opportunities around the world that you can access. So are other members of your family on board? I've met many world schoolers where one of the spouses was into it, and then they had to convince the other one to do it. And then later the other one was like, oh, honey, I'm so glad we're doing this. So maybe show your reluctant spouse this masterclass. But I guess the ones who didn't like it went back home. But I do know a lot of people who had to convince their family members and they had an amazing time. So can you be away from your friends and family and pets? That's a big one that comes up. I have a couple participants in my program. They have pets and they either find a friend or family who can take care of them while they're away, or they temporarily foster their pet. One of them was renting out her house for a year. They found a friend who's actually a vet to rent it. They gave him a good deal. And so he's going to be pet sitting their 3 dogs. And I have some World School friends who take their pets with them. It can be a challenge, but it can be done if you don't mind the hassle, all the paperwork, the time and the money. Also, it will limit the countries you're able to visit. So if you're okay with that, perhaps you can bring Fido. Can you be away from all your possessions? I have a packing video because I have learned that I have to pack light. I think this is it. Yeah, it's about an hour, almost an hour long traveling. And I'll share the link in a second. I share my packing list also on Google Sheets with links to my favorite products on Amazon. And yes, I tried to become an affiliate, but so far I haven't made enough money for Amazon to even pay me. I think they owe me maybe $3. So it's not a big thing. I'm not into the big affiliate on Amazon stuff. But if you buy anything with my link, someday they will maybe send me a few pennies my way. And these are products that we have used and traveled with over the last 8+ years. So I used to travel with a checked bag, at least one, if not 2, but lately we have been carry-on only. So when I share with you my list, there'll be my first list and then a couple tabs at the bottom because I have pared down quite a bit. And I do need to do a new video talking about what I take carry-on only, but at least you have the list there at the bottom tabs. So a lot of World Schoolers start with tons of stuff and big luggage, and then eventually they start paring it down because they get tired of carrying it around and they don't really miss their stuff very much. One of my daughters sometimes gripes about wanting more stuff. The other one is happily a minimalist. I have to keep offering to buy her new clothes. I mean, I take them, they really like going to thrift shops when we travel. And she does once in a while pick up like a 1980s rock star t-shirt. She's into that. She doesn't like to shop. And what teenage girl turns down shopping? But my Gabby does. I guess I did a good job raising her not to be like a fashion obsessed Kardashian clothes. That was one of my goals, seriously, not raising materialistic American princesses. But she's kind of gone over on the other side, like not wanting. Anyway, I'm like, are you wearing that t-shirt again? I know, I'm a mean mom, but there has to be a happy medium, right? And then the toy thing, we started with lots of toys, lots of Barbies and a bunch of Legos. My girls were 7.5 when we started traveling, and I had them carry their toys in their backpacks. And eventually they got tired of it and they weren't playing with them that much. And we were just so busy out there in the world. So we started getting rid of toys, giving them to local kids and whatnot. And then they started making stuff, you know, arts and crafts kind of stuff, and then using little doodads, nature things, and pine cones. And that really helped them become really creative. And surprise, surprise, 8 years later, they're attending an arts high school. But for some people, it's hard not having all your stuff. So are you able to do that? All right, let me copy and paste my packing list here. And also it in written form. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. I have also a lot of safety, like how not to get pickpocketed products in there and how not to get robbed, a few handy things. Okay, so can your personality and character handle traveling light? Can you handle being in strange new lands? Do you have an open mind? Are you flexible? Can you handle change, challenges, and adversity? How well can you handle uncertainty? Can you handle things not being perfect? So, you know, some people, including some Americans, were so used to being things running really well. And, you know, some people get really upset when things don't run well and they don't get stellar service. But I quickly learned traveling that you can't have that expectation all around the world, as many cultures just don't operate in the same way, the same level of customer service that you might be used to. You know, unless you want to travel only to expensive places and stay at Ritz-Carlton's, and most world schoolers don't travel like that, but you need to set your expectations that things are going to be different. So can you handle things not going your way all the time? If you can, or if you can learn to do that, then you can world school. And again, it's, you know, I was a hard charging kind of corporate person, like, let's get all this stuff done, super efficient. And then I'm in Thailand and people are so slow. And I'm like, why are they taking forever to get me my thing? And, you know, whatever, you just have to chill. You have to chill. Otherwise you'll go crazy. Can your kids handle all of the above? Maybe they're fussy or sensitive. Maybe they're on the spectrum. They get upset easily. There are strategies to do that. And I did give a talk in the past for a neurodiverse homeschooling summit. So reach out to me if you want me to connect you, because I think they have an upcoming summit soon, which I declined to participate in because I've just been really busy, but they have some other fabulous speakers. So think about these things. You don't have to go right, you know, yeah, you don't have to go full on. You can just try things out and then see how it goes. But hopefully you'll learn that things don't go right all the time. And it could be a really fantastic learning opportunity for you and your kids. It'll give you a chance to stretch and grow. Travel really changes you. Again, when I started backpacking years ago, I would get really irritated. I was impatient when I got bad service. And then just after a while, you just have to chill out and be zen about it. So now I just go with the flow more, and it's, you know, helped me a lot. I just don't sweat the small stuff. I think it's important, you know, all of that. If you don't have anything keeping you back home, to think about if these things are possible. Okay, so let me know in the chat if any of this stuff is holding you back. What is holding you back? And just so you know, you can world school part-time. You don't have to do it full-time for years and years to be considered a world schooler. You don't have to sell everything to do this. You can even do it during school holidays, which obviously is more expensive because everyone and their cousin will be traveling at that time. But I still consider it world schooling, as long as you're not just going to resorts and you're using it as a learning opportunity. Maybe you can figure out places to go during the summer that are not as busy, a little bit more off the beaten track kind of places, and try it and see how it goes. Okay, so are all family members on board? Do you have a spouse or a partner who's on board? Can you guys come to an agreement on it? If they're not, well, I've met, again, more than a few married women. It's mostly the women, but I do know a dad as well, who are happily married, their spouses have a job back home and they, they can't travel that much other than their vacation here and there. So it's usually the moms, but they travel with their kids, and some of them are homeschooling anyway, or, they go for 1, 2, 3 months and the husband will come for the middle of it or the beginning or the end, and it works out for them. So I know quite a few people who do this. I had a married man who took my course. He travels off and on with his son. His wife isn't into it so much. She's happy to stay in their town and work in her corporate job while dad and their 5-year-old kid is going on adventures. So maybe you can come up with some kind of compromise or agreement. So the partner who really values travel can take the kids out to see the world. Maybe you can ask your partner, like, hey, listen, I really want our kids to see the world and become global citizens and have these experiences. We're living the stationary life and you're really tied down with your brick and mortar business, office job, whatever. Are you okay if I take the kids to Peru for a month or to participate in this World School Hub for a month? So see if that is possible. Now, if you're not married with your children's other parent, do you have an ex or share custody of your kids with someone? And then important, do you have that person's permission to take your kids abroad? This is quite important. If you don't have full custody and the proper paperwork, if there is another person's name on the birth certificate, you will need to get their permission and have it notarized. In fact, in the US, to get a passport for your child, both parents need to be there, or you need documentation that shows you have full custody, or there's no other name on the birth certificate. And perhaps it's the same in other countries, because in some countries, they will not let you in. The US and other countries have agreements with each other. And actually, sometimes at the airport, when you're about to fly and you check in, they may ask you. And if you don't have the proper paperwork, they may not let you board the plane. And sometimes they'll complain like, this letter is a year old and we want a more current notarized letter. So some countries can be really strict. It doesn't always happen, but it can happen. I would hate for people to miss their flight and lose all the money on their flight because they didn't have the proper paperwork. I'm always asked crossing in and out of Canada with my kids for some reason. And I have a friend who wasn't able to leave Buenos Aires for Spain with her daughter because her husband, and they were married, but she forgot to get a notarized permission from him, and she wasn't able to travel that day and had to go back and get the paperwork. I think the airline did let her change the flight. So make sure you have the proper paperwork with you if you're traveling solo without your kids, that you have full authority to travel with them. And this is not due to your kids being kidnapped by strangers, although, child trafficking does happen. It's often couples splitting up and one of them is trying to take the kid to another country. So it is technically kidnapping. So that's what it's for. So let me know if any of you are single moms or have issues with that. There are single parent world schooling Facebook groups. So they talk about this topic quite a bit. Are your kids on board? If you have younger kids, then yeah, unless they have a lot of anxiety, they're pretty easy to get on board. My kids just went with the flow. They were 7.5 when we started traveling. Otherwise, we didn't really have a lot of vacation, so they were super excited. But maybe you have some tweens or teens that have lots of friends that they'll be leaving behind or lots of activities, and it might be harder for them to separate from all of that, short-term or long-term. So we do talk about that in my program about having family meetings and trying to get everyone kind of on the same page as much as possible, and not just having parents push on the kids like this is what we're doing, whether you like it or not. I don't advocate that. I think it's better to have a conversation, see if they'll do a trial run, just a month, 3 months, 6 months, maybe a family gap year. And some families are doing that and then they vote regularly. And often the kids end up loving it and vote to continue. That's actually what my kids and I did. And we said we were going to try it for a year. And then we voted. And for 6 or 7 years, we voted to continue. Now, Now we don't travel full time. We often spend part of the year lately visiting my mom. And then again, my girls just started in arts high school. And I love it now how they mention Worldschooling in some of their language arts essays, or they talk about some cool marine life they saw in person in their biology class. So it's still part of them. Okay, let me check to see how you guys are doing. Okay, Robin says, holding you back is finding schools. I don't want to homeschool, nor does my daughter. I hear you. Alternative questions, where can the links you find to your list of answered questions that aren't listed here? I have that, what links? I'm sharing links to things I'm showing in this presentation. But I don't, are you talking about like an FAQ? So Robin, if you don't mind just elaborating on that. I have the idea that residence of some sort is in need if staying outside the 90 days. Or do you just stay on the move? Do I have this wrong? Yeah, I talk a little bit about becoming an expat, but my specialty is being nomadic, moving every so often. We have stayed in countries for 6 months. We've stayed in many countries for 6 months. Actually, we were in Mexico once for 14 months during the pandemic, before and then during the pandemic. So there are places where you can get temporary residency or full-on residency. Is a document. Oh, I think it was the directory of the directory. Was this it? I'll just copy and paste this right now. The directory of my interviews. There we go. I'll just put it right now. Okay, but schools, again, you can put your kids in local schools around the world. I have a list of 100 of them. You can do online schools. You can hire teachers, tutors, nannies. There's a bunch of stuff. Watch my top 6 ways for kids to learn video. Ask for that at my website, trailblazingfamilies.com. And then again, in my course, we go really deep into which is the best way for each individual kid. We talk about pros and cons. It kind of depends on the age of your kids, and then how they learn best, and also how quickly you're moving. And, again, there's people who move quickly, or I don't advise that, and they make it happen. So, and again, this is why I've interviewed a lot of parents about how their kids learn, and I've interviewed grown world schoolers. And personally, my kids have not been ruined by doing this. I hear fantastic stories about grown world schoolers and how well they're doing in their 20s and beyond. So, check out my directory of interviews and watch some of those. Hopefully that'll help. Okay, so now let's talk about getting into the right mindset. How do you guys feel right now? How is your mindset about this launching into a world school lifestyle? Are you excited about traveling extensively? I mean, again, this is not about taking a 1-week vacation to Maui. I am not the gal to help you with that. But if you're excited about an extended trip, awesome. I think you should be. Are you nervous? If so, take a deep breath, and we will get through this together. You'll have to do a lot of breathing to get you through this, and it's possible. And I'm not really big into meditation because I'm just too, I don't know, type A for that. But I've tried that app, Headspace, and I'm getting there. Are you overwhelmed? There are lots and lots of details that you need to consider and prepare. You have to get many decks in a row. Obviously, my recommendation is to join my program, and I'll help you turn your overwhelm into a solid plan, a whole A to Z about Worldschooling. I share with you my 550-page presentation, and again, 25 hours worth of video, and that's basically your task list. And you just go through it, and then you're done, and then you launch. Are you scared or worried about safety? Well, big news, you don't really see this much in the regular media, but the world is a lot safer than you think. I have been to nearly 50 countries, and knock on wood, I've had a few bad things happen. This is when I was younger. I was in a train crash in Hungary. I had to go to the hospital and get some stitches on my noggin. And then I got salmonella in India, and I lost 10 pounds in a not so nice way. So if you ever go to India, try to go vegetarian. I've had some minor bad things happen. I had a couple people try to rob me in Frankfurt, but I thwarted them. So I do share a lot of safety tips in my course and about how not to get pickpocketed or robbed. But other than that, again, knock on wood, nothing major. One of my girls did fall down on a playground in Colombia and needed to get stitches on her chin. And then she also got ringworm in Bali. It's not a worm, it's a fungal infection, but she kept picking up this dog that had it. Again, my ADHD kiddo, we kept telling her, don't touch that dog. So it was a pain to get rid of, but we did it. So it's been, you know, mostly for us, minor things. I've seen mostly minor things happening to other world schoolers out there in the world. Most of them are not a major big deal, but some tragic things have happened. I'm a big fan of your kids really learning how to swim. And if not, don't rent Airbnbs or whatever with swimming pools. If your kids don't know how to swim, or if you don't have a fence around the pool, like in Bali, if you rent a villa with a pool, you can hire a company to come and put a fence around it. And then even if kids do swim, they should not be left unattended while swimming. So that's kind of the big issue that I have seen. I have seen a couple of bad things happen to a couple of world school kids that I know of. Again, in my program, we talk more about how to look out for things, how to avoid these common issues that can happen while traveling. And I do my best to advise you and help you avoid them. Okay, so let's talk about safety. If you're afraid to travel to other countries because of safety reasons, I understand that fear. I have been there. I think it would be a good idea to check out the Global Peace Index. Let me share, where is it? Here we go. I'll share with you guys the link. It ranks the safest and most peaceful countries in the world. And then if I were you, I would just stick to the safer ones. The ones listed in black are the most safest, then green, then yellow, then orange, like the US. I know at least half of you watching, or at least a third in my Facebook group, are from the US or North America. So we are in the US, we're orange. And then obviously the red ones are the most dangerous, like Russia, North Korea, Afghanistan, etc. So again, orange then red, and I'll share this with you in the comments in a second, but obviously avoid the red countries, although I have been to Myanmar years ago, and then maybe some of the orange ones, although I have been to Turkey, I've been to Mexico, I've been to Colombia, I've been to some of these orange countries, and I live in one, but try to stick to the yellow, green, and black countries if you want safety, okay? So I'll put in the chat the Global Peace Index, and it gets updated every year. And so it's interesting, right? This map. I mean, maybe you would think the US would be maybe a yellow, but no, it's an orange. So for those of you in the US who are afraid to travel abroad as you think the world is more dangerous, who think the US is safer, well, I've got news for you. It's not. The US is quite dangerous, at least parts of it. The US ranked 132nd and on the Global Peace Ranking for 2024 out of 163 countries, up from 131 in 2023 and up from 129 in 2022. The US ranking has gotten worse every year since 2016, often attributed to a decrease in life satisfaction, rising political division, and increasing wealth gap. And of course, you can't forget about our gun culture. You know, even kids with mental health issues who have threatened others can get an AK-47. So it's something I don't worry about in other countries I've been, but when I'm in the States, I don't like being in big crowds. I have a second cousin who survived the Las Vegas shooting thing, and another family member who worked at the school, Marjorie Douglas in Parkland, Florida. So she has moved with her kids to Japan after that experience. So yeah, it's not fun for us to deal with that situation. And you know, obviously I don't take my kids to war-torn and dangerous countries, but the US is not often a country that is safe. Parts of it are dangerous. Now, if you click on that Global Peace Index, you can click on the US, and I think it breaks it out by state. But many people don't realize this. I mean, my mom keeps telling me every time I head out there in the world, ever since I was 19, traveling solo, she'll say, oh, be careful, don't get kidnapped. And now she says, make sure your kids don't get kidnapped. But again, we've traveled a lot repeatedly, and so far we haven't even come close to being kidnapped. I don't know of any other world schooler who has. It's extremely rare, and we're not typically the targets for kidnappers. So try not to be afraid of that. Try not to listen to those people who think the world is dangerous. It's, again, often more safe than maybe where you live in the States. Who knows? I mean, if you're from Ireland, that's very safe. I mean, Iceland, Scandinavian countries, very safe. But if you're from the US, it can be, the world is safer, much safer than you think. It really is. I hope you realize that. So I hope you'll take a chance on this and give it a try. I hope you'll get over your fears about traveling with your family. If you have any, keep breathing, do a lot of breath work. Try to enjoy the here and now, including the unknowns. Keep making decisions from a positive mindset, not a negative one. Keep making decisions from love and light, not fear. Many of us watch the news on TV and on social media. The media system is intentionally set up to show you the bad in the world. Fear sells. I have a degree in communications and I worked in media for many years. Fear sells. Putting fear in you gets you to come back and check the news often so you don't miss out on the latest disasters and problems in your town, country, or the world. And then the media companies get higher ratings and more advertising dollars. So they want your eyeballs glued to the news. But in general, the world is quite safe. And most of the time, wonderful things are happening in the world. I promise you, I have seen the world. Okay, I've had a couple bad things. I told you about my train crash and the, getting conned and robbed on the streets in Frankfurt. And I was, I think in my 20s then, and I put the teen boy in a headlock and I got my money back. That was kind of instinctual. I wouldn't recommend that, and then I also got salmonella in India. But these experiences, they made me stronger, and I have learned from them. And knock on wood, we haven't had too many bad things happen when traveling as a family. The vast majority of world schoolers that I know have been very safe. So try to turn off that fear mongering, the news, pack a suitcase, book some tickets, and just get out there. I know, easier said than done. But I think the vast majority of us have an amazing time. But just try to get rid of that fear. We're programmed to stay safe. It's biologically in us. But we're also logical people, and we can explain to ourselves that we're most likely going to be fine, just fine if we travel. Things will work out even better than we can imagine. It's a massive jump, but it's very possible and worth it. And again, keep breathing. Again, if you have anxiety about this, just keep breathing. Again, you might be an anxious person, or your family members maybe. Try to take some small trips to a new to you town near your place. And then maybe, you can try it. And if that works, then go further afield and whatnot. So hopefully your fears of traveling with your kids, you can overcome them. So I hope you feel better, and type in the comments and let me know how you feel. Lavish, you're joining late. Yeah, no worries. You can watch oh no, you had a bad situation happen at home. Okay, sorry about that, Lavish. You can watch the replay of the first part later. It'll replay when we're finished. Okay, so we're kind of, I don't know, halfway through. What time is it now? Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're getting near the end, I think. Okay, so let's talk about dealing with criticism, judgment and criticism from others. There's a lot of societal and social programming. Some people want everyone to maintain status quo. It's understandable that people may have questions and want to play devil's advocate. They are worried for us and our kids and about school, socialization, our safety, and our lack of stability. Those are typical questions that we hear from well-meaning friends and family. I think as long as, your kids have a stable family, even if you're nomadic, it'll be fine. Up until the agrarian age, when farming was invented about 12,000 years ago, we human beings were nomadic, usually in groups. But for millions of years, we've roamed the earth. So it's not abnormal for humans to be nomadic. It's okay. And some people are worried that we're going to ruin our kids' future. But if they do, just ask them, hey, you know, the school system is not really keeping up to date with the 21st century. It's still teaching old-fashioned things in an old-fashioned way. Did you enjoy, you know, going to school? Do you remember what you learned in school? Because a vast majority of us forget a vast majority of that. And ask, how much did your teachers care about you compared to your parents? How were your teachers able to care for you versus 30 other kids in class? And again, no knock on teachers. It's not them, it's the system, the factory model of schooling. It's just no longer the best way for each child to learn. It works for some kids, but it doesn't work for a lot of kids. And I don't think it's preparing kids for the 21st century. It's still pretty old-fashioned. And you can point that out. You can ask them, you know, what did you learn in school what did you learn about the world outside your own country? And just have them think about their education and then say, you know, something like in 2024 or whatever year it is, the internet, you know, we have the internet and the ability to fly all over the world. We can work and live and travel thanks to technology. We have this laptop and a phone we can bring us and keep in touch with everyone. And there's all these wonderful advances. So why not go? You can kind of turn it around. You know, you could say, don't you think you're kind of limiting yourself by staying in the same town and doing the same thing over and over again? You know, kind of being stuck in the rat race, the career, job, and lifestyle. And yeah, so you can just turn it around for them. And, you know, you're trying to seek adventure and freedom and a wonderful global education for your kids. So try not to worry so much about the naysayers. There is this blogger, he's not a world schooler. I think this is him. Yeah. His name, he goes by Stark Raving Dad. I think he's a homeschool or unschool dad. So he has a podcast episode called Dear Grandparents and I think a blog. So I'll put it in the comments. It's about grandparents and getting them on board with homeschooling. So listen to his advice. It could be useful if you have relatives or friends that give you a hard time. Okay, so I'm just going to post this in the comment, the link to it. Okay, so, but yeah, you have to understand that your friends and family, you know, they are trying to protect us from what they think is a chaotic path. What they don't understand is that we don't all want the same things. So what they consider normal is stability, a 9-to-5 job, getting all the things society tells us we want, all the material objects, all the typical activities our culture does, you know, the typical types of vacations, getting our kids into top university, which, by the way, world schools can do. Again, we're not all the same. And due to that, we can find what makes us happy. So it is hard not to have the support from loved ones. I do know a few world schoolers who don't keep close contact with some of their family members who can be negative, which is sad because they're living their best life. And, you know, they'll post their pictures on Instagram or Facebook and the family member is still like tutting them, and which is sad. So it's hard not to have the support from loved ones, but most of you hopefully will have lots of support from people in your life, and you'll probably have lots of people happy for you, perhaps happily envious, and they'll be traveling vicariously through you. So don't worry about the occasional naysayers. You may not see their point of view and they may not see yours. They would rather stay put like a plant. And we choose to get up and explore. So they may be reflecting their fears onto you. They come from a good place, but it simply doesn't align with what you need. So you can just say, thank you for your comment and your concern. What's normal to you is not normal to me, and I'm not asking you to change. So I will do what makes us happy at the moment. And you can just try to tell them that, you know, thanks to the beauty of the internet, it's now possible to work online. We don't have to be stuck in one place. If we want to go out and explore the world, we can. It's easier than ever, and there are more and more opportunities to thrive. There's a big community of other World School families out there, and we support each other. There's this crazy lady, Lizz Quain, and she has a course, and she helps people and holds their hand during the course and for years to come. So again, you can keep coming to our weekly Zooms. And just say we are pioneering innovative trailblazing families. The kids are learning. They're going to learn amazing things. We're raising free thinking global citizens instead of obedient corporate worker bees. I mean, maybe you don't want to go that far, but that is what the school system is for. It's not to raise free thinking entrepreneurs. There's very little entrepreneurship taught in or encouraged in schools, even in universities. I mean, if you get an MBA, it's to be a corporate business person, right? Unless it's Stanford Business School, and that's just because they're in Silicon Valley. Anyway, so tell them, thank you very much. This is what we want. This is what's working for us now. And we are living the best way we know how. And then again, ignore them and spend time with people who get you in your lifestyle. And if you're on social media, maybe not block them, but you can change your settings so you see less of their posts, maybe. And then you can post to everyone except them if you want. Do you know how to do that? So keep going, mamas and papas. Don't let the naysayers ruin it for you. We all get you. Okay, so let me check to see how everyone is doing. Okay, Lavish, hope you're still there. All right, so let's talk about socialization. This is a hot topic and people think that we don't socialize, but we've never had a problem meeting lots of people while living this lifestyle. And we started living this lifestyle before World School hubs started happening. And maybe because I'm a social person, but I do make an effort to find friends for us. I do once in a while meet World Schooler families who are, I don't know, maybe they're introverted. They're not very social. So they don't really socialize a lot. Maybe here and there. They don't really make a big effort and their kids are fine with it, but I'm social and it's not even just for my kids, it's for me too. I don't want it to just be me and my kids traveling around the world and not meet people. And my kids certainly don't want to just hang out with me, especially now that they're teens. Of course, we meet locals and stuff, but we do want to meet with people who are like-minded. I've always joined the Facebook groups and posted, hey, I'm going to be in such and such country. Some of the Facebook groups do have the where in the world are you posts. Those are great. Sometimes I post in my group, what continent are you on? So I'll do that soon. And I do know a few World School parents, and I think one kid that launched an app where you can post where you are and make a profile. The problem is I never update it, so our information is from 3 years ago. So those World School apps have never worked out. But if you're going to a hub, that is the easiest way to meet lots of people, and it's kind of a soft landing. Or you can go to more casual ones where people are just meeting up organically. One of my teen daughters, she keeps in touch with her World School friends on Snapchat, only to chat with her other World School friends. They have this avatar on Snapchat and it shows this cute little world map and it shows where all her World Schooling friends are on it. It's really cute with their avatars. So they keep in touch after they meet in person and they're on Snapchat or Instagram or Discord or WhatsApp. So they keep in touch that way. They didn't when they were younger. I tried to get them on Facebook for Kids app, but they weren't interested. So, or once in a while I organize a Zoom meeting with other people, friends and family. So they do keep in touch with friends and family via Zoom meetings and digital media. And that's socializing, right? They get together sometimes and we'll play Minecraft or Roblox on the same server. So there is a family that we've met in Bali, and we later hung out with them in Thailand, and then again in Medellin, Colombia, then in Mexico. So we have met them and multiple families in multiple countries, and they just reached out the other day and wanting one of my girls' info so their son could chat with them. So, I mean, this has been 8 years that they've been in touch. So it's amazing. And we had a 2-night sleepover in Vancouver, Canada with 3 other World School families, 2 of whom We've met in multiple countries over the years, and these are our people, you know? So we parents were even talking about continuing to travel together once we are World School empty nesters and our kids have flown the coop. So, yeah, and then Emmy, who runs the World School Bansko Hub, I think I have a picture. There's a couple of pictures of her kids in these pictures. We first met in Playa del Carmen, and then she ran her hub in Bansko, Bulgaria, that we went twice. And, you know, I've seen her even over the summer there. So some of the people in these pictures we've seen repeatedly. Again, I'm favorite. And what I do is I just keep in touch with my friends and I ask them, hey, where are you going this spring? We should try to meet up. Are you going to this hub? We should try to go together. You know, oh, you're going to be in such and such country. We'd love to spend time with you. Maybe we can find an Airbnb near you and hang out for a bit. So that's what we typically do. I did interview the Traveling Circus group, and they're a group of families, like 5 or 6 or 7 families and 2 teachers, and they travel together as a group. And there are more similar groups like this launching because, you know, it's a cool idea to travel together as a nomadic group with a teacher. So watch my interview with them. And I've heard really good things on most World School hubs, like I said, but there's a few I've heard some very mixed things. So be very careful before you send a lot of money to them. I think you should try to vet them. And again, I keep a list in my course of nearly 100 hubs, and there's a lot of, I put whether or not I've heard mixed things. And then there's Boundless Life. It's a very upscale World School hub, and it also has a school, a Finnish model school for the younger kids, but it is about 10,000 euros a month if you have a family of 4. I think it depends on their location. So they have locations in Portugal, Greece, Italy. I've been to the Italian one. It's in Tuscany, and I had a tour. And then Bali and Montenegro is their newest one. I think they have more coming. So I interviewed one of the co-founders, so you can see it in my interview series. And then again, the other co-founder, I met him in Italy when I checked out that thing. They just launched a program because for a while their Finnish school was for kids 3 to 12. They now have a program called Trailblazers. Nice name. My name came first. It's for 13 and 14-year-olds. And my kids are too old for it. Plus I can't afford 10,000 euros a month. But if you can, and if you mention Trailblazing families, you will get a 400 euro discount. Anyway, there are tons of social opportunities. We socialize a lot. We go to World School hubs again, or casual meetups. We now mix it up because my daughters don't want to be in community all the time. So for example, we were in Bulgaria for the ski hub for winter. And then she and I traveled around Italy for 2 months. And my other daughter was visiting grandma. And then we went to Germany to meet with a distant cousin. So we were meeting up with some World School families for short meetups. And yeah, so we spent the last summer pet sitting around the UK. We were there for 10 weeks and then a week in Ireland to visit cousins. But the pet sitting was fun. So we were moving locations every week or so. We met up with a bunch of World School friends and just even some old travel friends of mine that I met backpacking in 1999. And they live in the UK and they have kids now around the same age as my kids. So that was fun. But it is amazing. The more people you meet, the less of an issue socialization happens because there's just always somebody to meet up with, or they can introduce you to friends. And again, there's so many Facebook groups where socializing is happening, and World School hubs. It's massive. So I sometimes will friend request people, especially if they have kids around the same age as my kids. It's not an issue for World Schoolers, homeschoolers, and unschoolers. I mean, perhaps the introverted families and people who, you know, don't travel to the countries where World Schoolers go to, and they're sticking to the higher cost of living countries. So in my course, we often talk about where the popular and up and coming places are. And so again, this lack of socializing is not a thing. It's a perceived thing, but it's not a thing. And the people who take my course, if they want to socialize and follow my advice, it won't be an issue for them. Okay, so let's talk about creating a vision board. I think this is a really nice exercise. Here we go. Oh. All right, so I think it's a good idea to make a vision board or dream board. It would be a great exercise to do before embarking on a World School journey. Here are actual dream boards from the participants of my course. Let's see, is this the right thing? Yeah. Oops. Okay, so they made this, and it's really cool because they've now been traveling, and I go, oh yeah, these pictures here, I saw them. You guys kind of doing that stuff in your Instagram. It's amazing. They made their dreams come true. It's amazing. Make a physical one or a digital one on Canva, or you can go to Pinterest. I've had a Pinterest board for years. I think I call it bucket list to do and then bucket list done. And I love moving the pin over from one board to another. It's amazing. That feeling of satisfaction is great. So, but try to make a dream board for yourself and have your partner and kids make one for themselves or get involved in a family one. Think about what you want regarding your family travel and world schooling, but also your passions, your interests, what you want your life to mean. I mean, it doesn't have to just be for the traveling, but for other things too. And then perhaps you can talk with supportive family and friends. This is being really slow to change the page. Hello. There we go. Talk with supportive family and friends, not the naysayers. And, you know, you can post about your plans on social media. This may help you manifest your dreams, right? It'll also help you create accountability. And, you know, just try to take the steps to make your dreams come true. And obviously, probably the best way is to participate fully in my course and research it and become accountable. And then make a commitment and set a date to launch. You know, is it when your kids are finished with school, or is it halfway through the school year, or when you're done with a big project, when you sold your house, sold your business? When do you think that you're going to launch? So write in the chat if you know when you're going to launch, and then make a timeline of all the things that need to be done and by when. So some questions to ask that might help you with your dream board. These are questions that can help you envision your new world schooling life and just life in general, and help set some life goals and intentions in general. I'm not a life coach, but I got these questions from a world school friend of mine. We did this great workshop and with a group of world schoolers. So thank you, Anne. I'm adding some of your questions on here. Okay, so ask yourself, what are a few things that you're proud of? Which of these are most important? What have you learned during the past year or so? Which lessons were most important and why do they matter? Okay, so I think it's really important to reflect on what's been happening in your life recently. And then think about, are there any old projects or goals that are taking up mental space? What are you willing to let go of? This is a hard one. Sometimes we can get so stuck on something and it's just not working out. And sometimes you just need to let go of some things to make room for new things. Is there emotional baggage that you need to release? What limiting belief or beliefs no longer serve you? So many of us have limiting beliefs. One of them can be, I can't travel in world school with my kids. That's a limiting belief. But many of you can. And it's really important to figure out, you know, what you need to let go of and why, and what you can get started. Okay, and then what do you want to create for your future in terms of your health or well-being, finances, relationships, family, friends, career, contributions, experiences, and your environment? So think about each of those things. How do you want to feel moving forward? What are your 3 most important goals to accomplish in the next 12 months? What do you need in order to bring these goals to fruition? And then the last questions. What is life asking of you now? What values need to be honored in this life you want to create? What would life be like if you lived your purpose completely? What does your future self 10 years from now want your present self to know? If you had 10 minutes left to live, what would you regret not doing? This is a really powerful one for me. I mean, it's kind of telling you, you just need to, just poop and get off the pot. You need to act, just start acting instead of just pushing your dreams away. What kind of memories and legacy do you want to create and leave for your children? I meet so many people who have grown kids and they say to me, oh, I wish we did this, the Worldschooling when my kids were younger, and now their kids are adults. So if you have this dream to travel with your kids while they're still young, try to have it happen sooner rather than later. Make this a big goal for yourself. One of my course participants wrote in his new travel blog, his friends and family, I don't know if I can share the blog with you, but he shared it with me. And he wrote, you may have seen the social post about the percent of time you spend with your kids up to a certain age. It's something like 75% of their life you spend with them up to the age of 12 and 95% of the time by the age of 18. It makes sense and went viral because it hits hard. It hit me hard. It made me evaluate if my actions met my words regarding what I ranked to be most important. Wow, that was such an insightful thing for that dad to say. And he's now putting his kids as a top priority to spend time with while they're young. They just launched a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I think. And again, make a commitment and set a date. And I think when you set a date, it's more likely to happen. Oops, sorry. Need to go here. Yeah, again, make a commitment and set a date. When you set a date, it's more likely to happen. Put it on a calendar, a Google calendar, preferably, or a physical calendar, whatever works for you. And you might want to tell 3 people who are not your family members, some friends or whoever. This can help you be more accountable. Although I did hear once that when you tell people your plan, you're less likely to work towards it. It's counterintuitive, but they were saying, because your brain, part of telling people is part of the motivation. I don't know, loses the motivation. It doesn't really make sense to me, but do what you think is right, but try to stay accountable to it, once you make a decision. Consider using a project management app to organize tasks. I often use Trello. Are you familiar with it? This is just their website, but they'll show here you can make a to-do list, doing and done, and then you can move like the little board to another. So that is what I use sometimes. Or just an Excel spreadsheet or a to-do list, something simple, whatever works for you. But I just love having the done column and moving, cutting and pasting it into the done column. And again, I think the best way to do this is to obviously take my course, because I give you a step-by-step plan of what to do. I also highly encourage you to attend our popular weekly group Zooms. In the past, we had them on Thursdays, but then more recently we had them on Mondays. So we typically vote on what works best for most of the participants. So it's a good idea to meet and check in and stay accountable, because I do sometimes ask for updates. So I hope that helps. And then don't forget to involve your kids in the planning and decision making stage, depending on their age, and consider how long it'll take you to untether from your current commitments. Think about how long it'll take you to pare down your possessions. If you plan to do that, I do give some tips on my course on what to do. And then just check off your decision and task list until it's all done. And then launch, and bon voyage or bon viaje. But seriously, if you really truly want a different lifestyle and to World School, I think it's important to set a plan with a timeline and just make it happen. I encourage you to stop dreaming and saying that you'd like to do this lifestyle and you want it to just happen magically. But instead make a solid plan, and then make every single decision you take from that point on to be leading you towards that goal. So stop buying stuff and start getting rid of stuff. I mean, if you're going to be going for a while, try not to keep any clutter, just toss it. Take pictures of what you think are important and then just sell it or donate it. Again, this is if you're going to be going for a while and you don't want to keep your house. Okay. I have shed so many material possessions so many times in my life. Every time I've moved to different cities or before we started traveling and Worldschooling, I don't miss the vast majority of my stuff. It's just stuff. Ask family and friends not to give you and your children lots of physical gifts unless they're helping you meet your goal, like getting them backpacks or packing cubes or certain electronics, money in your account. Think daily about your future lives and start living that way now. And then every day, do something to help you further your goal. So I hope these tips are helpful to you. And let me see how you guys are doing. Lavish, you're here listening in. Awesome. Wonderful. Okay, so all right, so that's all easier said than done. I know that planning and researching how to travel long-term with kids and Worldschooling them can be overwhelming. Again, it took me nearly 2 years to figure things out and how best to do everything when we launched our trial year. And I was already an experienced traveler, but not yet with kids. So what I did was I tracked down a handful of experienced Worldschoolers, like, again, Lady Liberty that I mentioned, and got inspired by them to try out this lifestyle. I dug through various social media channels and went down countless rabbit holes. I read the 4-Hour Workweek and some other digital nomad and travel types books, blogs, and podcasts. There wasn't so much out there like there is now. And there are now some books and blogs, mini courses, and one-on-one coaching that you can access, but nothing quite in-depth and comprehensive until now. Nothing that covers a complete A to Z of how to Worldschool and travel extensively as a family. So it is a lot of time and effort to search, to follow, to post, to ask questions, to dig around for the answers to important questions. I see many people using various ways to research and prepare, which is terrific and useful. I'm so happy the interest in Worldschooling is growing, but again, it's a lot of effort to research and piece things together. I see a lot of people making mistakes, newbie mistakes once they launch. Some are kind of winging it and figuring things out as they go. And then later I see them posting on Facebook or in the Facebook groups, you know, they're sad or frustrated stories. And I wish I could have helped them before they started traveling. So this is why I launched my course, to finally have a better way for people to prepare and to learn all the important steps to take as they launch and then live this amazing lifestyle. I'm trying to shorten the research and prep time for the current newbies with my super comprehensive course. It's not a mini course. It's 25 hours worth of training videos. It's like a mini series that you can binge watch on. And so my goal is to help families better prepare so you can start this lifestyle sooner with more ease and fewer mistakes. It is my mission to help parents like you to learn how to confidently travel and Worldschool your children so you can live the life of your dreams as thriving global citizens. So let me mention my first several cohorts. I mentioned the beta launched January 2023. I've run 5 cohorts so far. I usually do 12-week courses 3 times a year, but I'm changing things soon, so stay tuned. I had fabulous groups of parents who participated. They were eager to learn how to confidently travel and Worldschool their children so they can start living this lifestyle sooner with more ease. It was a big hit with all the participants claiming that it well prepared them to confidently Worldschool and travel abroad as a family. And via, again, my series of interviews of 85 and counting, inspiring Worldschool veterans. Again, the replays can be found in my Facebook group or the YouTube channel. And I shared with you guys the directory of Trailblazing Families interviews in the chat. So in the past, the 12-week program went like this. On Mondays, I would post that week's training videos in a members only web platform. I was initially live streaming it into a group like I am now, as a private Facebook group. And then I re-recorded, I think by cohort 3 or so, I re-recorded a really good version because I put in the questions that people asked me from the first couple cohorts. I recorded a really good version, and then I posted it on a web platform, and it's now all chunked up by topic and shorter videos. And then once you watch it, you can click, done. So in addition to the masterclass, the first 5 weeks are focused on travel, logistics, and lifestyle related content. Then the next 7 weeks are education related. And the last week, part of that 7, is the future of world schoolers. So the training content is available forever. I mean, as long as the internet is around. The videos, as I mentioned, are now chunked up, labeled on a course platform. So it's easier to find things, watch what you want, and keep track of your progress. You get access to my 550-page course presentation with info and links in the speaker notes that you can search things really easily. You can type in Control F and type in travel insurance or whatever and find it. And I share tons of detailed and practical info laid out in a step-by-step fashion. Okay, so part 1 is this masterclass. It's the introduction to Worldschooling, the overview and mindset, and the benefits, overcoming fear and setting goals. And then part 2, that's the beginning of the course, is how to travel as a family, all about traveling with children, above and beyond going on a short vacation, whether it's long-term or part-time, or doing a gap year, or taking a traveling sabbatical, or going on for years and years. It's about traveling with the intention of learning from the world. And part 2, let's see, this is more in detail. These are the weeks, which are now, I'm calling them modules. Week 1, initial planning, budgeting, and taking care of home base. Week 2, further planning, things to know, making decisions, and booking. Week 3, and you're off, launching, airports, borders, and first days. Week 4, settling in, activities, immersing into the local culture, finding community, and volunteering. Week 5, daily life, work, relationships, and traveling responsibility. Okay, so that's part 2. And then part 3 is all about educating and world schooling your kids. There are many different ways to give your kids an extraordinary education while traveling and exploring the world, much better than the traditional education system. So I will help you figure out what is the best way for your individual child, because each kid is different. So yeah, I really want to let you guys know that this is awesome if you do it the right way, and I teach you how. If your kids want to go to university, especially in countries where homeschooling is legal, and even some of the gray area ones, these universities love world school kids. They love homeschool kids, but they especially love world school kids because these kids bring such a unique global perspective, which the world needs. So it's much better than the traditional education system. And I help you figure out what is the best way for, again, your each individual child. Okay, so in detail, week 6 is the education system overview and homeschooling. I also share 700 online learning apps with info and links. So we talk about the history of education, the problems with it, and then we, again, go into how to homeschool your kids while world schooling. And, I have been meaning to share in my free Facebook group part of the training of this week's training, because I feel like a lot of people still don't understand the education system and the history of it and why it was set up and how it's not really working anymore in the 21st century. So I need to do that soon. I also share a big list, again, of these online learning apps. So if you're going to be homeschooling and you want to know which are the best apps to use, whether it's Khan Academy or Duolingo or Code Combat, I mean, there's so many apps out there, and I have them categorized by topic. Week 7, we talk about online schools and online safety. I have interviewed a bunch of online school founders, the innovative, progressive ones. And again, I share with you a list of 85 online schools with lots of information. whether or not they're progressive or traditional, whether they're synchronous or asynchronous. Lots of information will be shared, and tuition and all that good stuff, what age it's for. Week 8, hiring nannies, tutors, teachers, either at the destination you're at or online, or to travel with you, depending on the age of your kids. I also share a list of 30 online tutoring companies with info and links. And again, not just the name and the link, but there's a bunch of information in there, like the tuition, the age it's for, so well detailed. I don't list every single online tutor out there because there's so many of them, can't even count, but just the bigger tutoring companies and the ones that are popular with world schoolers. Okay, so week 9, we talk about in-person local schools at the destinations around the world. I share a list of over 100 World School friendly local schools with info and links. Again, not just the name and the link, but a bunch of information. And once in a while I have to update it because some of them did close because of COVID, and then there's new ones popping up. Week 10 is World School Summits, Hubs, and Pop-ups. There were 2 World School Summits. They're no longer running, but I mentioned that Lady Libertine may be reviving hers in Europe in the future. So stay tuned for that. And then we talk about hubs and pop-ups. I mean, there's all sorts of different World School hubs. There's permanent ones, pop-ups, stationary, nomadic ones, a whole bunch of stuff. So I do share a list of, I think it's nearly 100 hubs around the world with info and links. And that is the most difficult list to keep updated because they're always coming and going. Maybe not by accident. Some of them were always just pop-ups because they're temporary to start with. And then in week 11, we talk about unschooling, self-directed learning, child-led learning, and I explain how to do it. Now, these are 1, 2, 3 hour videos. They're not just like a 10-minute video. I really go into how to do it, and you can speed up the video if you want to hear me talk really fast. And then, I also point you in the right direction for other resources to go deeper if you choose that certain way. And then week 12 is the future of World School kids and the various paths that they can go on, including getting into university or starting a business or becoming a digital nomad. So that's the content of my course. What do you guys think of it? Is there anything important that I'm missing? Let me know. Curious to know what you guys think is missing. I think I've covered kind of the main stuff. Again, I don't cover how to fund it in detail, but all the travel stuff and the education stuff is all there. Okay, so again, as I mentioned, I've interviewed other world schooling families or service providers. I was doing 2 of them a week at the beginning, and it was just a lot. And then I cut down to once a week, and now I have a library of over 85 of them. And the participants of my last couple of cohorts, they couldn't even keep up with the new ones, plus the ones I had recorded previously. So I'm cutting way back on these, and I will work on getting them onto YouTube and into an audio podcast format. Because again, so many topics that are already covered. In my course, if we're talking about XYZ, I'll say I interviewed so-and-so about the topic. Here is a link in the interview with them. So while we have that directory, I put the links in the speaker notes of each section of my course. So I like to have everything organized. And again, check out my directory to watch them for free. And these interviews, I mean, they did take me quite a bit of time to find who to interview. Obviously, I want to interview the best people and then reach out to them, coordinate the interview, come up with the questions, send them all the Zoom info and instructions, do the interview, then download it, do a bit of video editing, and then put it on YouTube. So it's been quite a bit of work, but I have them all in the Facebook group for free. I just really want to encourage people to world school. So I hope you guys are watching these interviews and that they're valuable to you. And I mainly do the interviews for the participants of my course, but I share them freely in the Facebook group and YouTube. So you guys can get a peek into world schooling, and hopefully it will inspire you to want to world school and travel. And then the most fun thing that we do during my usual 12-week program is I host a weekly Zoom with the participants of the course. to check in with each other, others' progress. Participants can ask me questions. They can be in community with like-minded parents, people in the same stage that are going to be launching within the next, I don't know, 3 months, 6 months, a year. Actually, I've had people join my course and they're not launching for a couple of years, but they still want to get started on the learning and planning, because they know they can keep coming to the weekly meetings and learning and getting their questions answered and being in community. So then many participants have found this to be so valuable, and it was my favorite part of the week. Charlotte mentioned, I love connecting and chatting on these calls with other participants, creating a nice community. Okay, so it's lots of info. Again, loved putting in the work, but it was a lot of it to organize all the interviews and to put everything that's in my brain into my 550-page presentation for my course. Again, it resulted in 25 hours of training videos and countless hours of guest expert interviews, all super helpful content that my participants can refer to forever. And they can also access the countless resource lists of World School hubs, local schools around the world, online learning apps, online schools, tutors, and much more that we update regularly. So it's a lot of video and written content, tons of detailed and practical info, basically the A to Z of world schooling and family travel, to help parents know what to do in this big, exciting, and sometimes challenging endeavor of traveling extensively as a family and raising smart, savvy global citizens, and do it in a smart way and make fewer mistakes. But it's super worth it when the participants of the program have told me the course is great, I'm learning so much, and I feel as though the overwhelm has been swept away. Thank you, Marjorie from Australia. Your program helps me feel more confident in this journey and our decision and desire to walk this path. Thanks, Mimi from Maine. The best decision. We've learned so much and gained a ton of confidence in our choice to make this move. Thank you so much, Lizz Quain. Thank you, Tiffany from New Mexico. And Charlotte says your course goes through everything you can possibly need to know and prepare for it. Thank you for that. Jeff says your course was the help we needed to get over the fear, especially for my wife. So glad we participated and recommend it to others who are heading out for a World School adventure. And then Sonia from California says, I feel way more confident in both our choice to do this and our ability to make it happen. Lizz Quain, your program has been transformative for us. Thank you, Sonia. It really makes my heart just beat, 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 you know, knowing that these wonderful and very savvy parents, they found value in my program and feel better equipped to travel quite a bit as a family, show their kids the world, and raise global citizens who will be better prepared to take on whatever the future has in store. So some of my many course participants who have launched, I think I mentioned to you that I interviewed a number of them. So remember, don't forget to watch this video here of them so they can explain how everything's going. And I would be really honored to help you guys achieve your world schooling dreams. I love nothing more than helping families launch into this amazing, adventurous, and trailblazing lifestyle. I mean, it's, you know, some of the, I feel like these families that launched, they're like these little birds, and I'm like mama bird, just watching them fly and, you know, spread their wings and explore the world. I just feel so amazed when that happened. So it is possible to live this way. You can do it full-time, part-time, for a gap year, or just to try it for a few months and see if this works for you. And again, if I can manage to do this as a solo parent of 2, I think so many other families can do so. And I hope yours as well. Okay, so you are now officially invited to the 6th cohort of the Trailblazing Family 12-part group program. I'm trying to get rid of the word week and call it 12-part or 12 module. How to world school and travel extensively as a family. I will help you turn the research and decision overwhelm into a practical and step-by-step plan, and help you give you the confidence to make this big and wonderful life change. Okay, so the details. This is how I'm going to explain it and how it's changing. It does start less than a week on Monday, September 30th. Now, I have been really busy working on that World School Hub course, so I've kind of rushed this sixth cohort, but I'm changing things because instead of dripping out the training videos week by week, the new thing is I'm going to give access to the whole course as shortly after you register and send payment. So you can get access to it all immediately. And my course is going what's called evergreen, which again, instead of a cohort, I'm still calling it this a 6 cohort, but instead of doing it 3 times a year for 12 weeks and releasing the training week by week, you're going to get it all at once. And then people can register whenever they want. I'm still going to be hosting weekly group Zooms for many, many years. I am going to take a break during a couple weeks during the Christmas, New Year's timeframe, and probably a month during the summer. But other than that, you can keep coming to the weekly meetings. Again, you get the 25 hours of training videos, my 550-page presentation, all those lists, those resources, and membership in the private group forever. So the last cohort, I had a couple participants who were leaving sooner than 12 weeks. So I kind of tested it on them. And what was happening is usually I release a week and then, we meet like a week later, and only a percentage of my participants actually get a chance to watch it all because everyone else is busy, right? So they show up to the meeting and so will say, oh yeah, I watched it, it was great. And I have these questions, and other people are saying we didn't have a chance to yet, but we'll get to it soon, right? And then I've been having people from previous cohorts show up to our weekly group Zooms, which is great. And then they ask me questions that are a bit more advanced. So I was hoping to kind of do like week 1, we talk about it, week 2, week 3, but now people are asking me questions all over the map, and they're not staying like on this week-to-week plan that I had, which is fine. So now I'm just going to give access to everything. It's like you get to binge watch, like you're on Netflix, a whole series, and then you show up once a week. And again, we vote on when we meet. So whatever works for most people. If I get a good number of people signed up at one time, then I will try to do 2 group Zooms to handle both sides of the earth, right? So that's how it's working now for the 6th cohort. And again, past participants, they have been raving about the course. It's helped them so much. They say it's the best decision, that, my training goes through everything, and it's been an amazing resource. And the Axe Explorers, actually, it's Tiffany Santorini. She said her biggest shift was when we delved deeper in the education piece. And then Michelle said, so many exciting opportunities in the world for our kids to spread their wings. Thanks for all the ideas and advice. I'm not going to read through all of these. They're also on my website. But I've had well-traveled families take my course, and they said they also learned so much more. And they felt it was the boost their family needed to get past the fear. And yeah, I mean, Kara has been in the World School communities for 7 years. She's in part-time World Schooling for 7 years. And then she even took my course and said it was amazing. Marjorie says it covers the important areas of long-term travel. 5 stars for Liz. Thanks, Marie. They feel so much better on their course. All these nice things that they've said. They've already launched. They're having an amazing time. Meg said, newbie, pre-launch, same. Highly recommend Lizz Quain and her treasure trove of resources, not least her passion and hard-won expertise and adventurous, fulfilling, expansive education for kids. So anyway, yeah. I'm so grateful for the nice things people are saying about my course. Again, I don't ask them. I mean, now I have a survey and I ask people, but people have just been posting this organically. They're saying we're launching and we did this course, or they're in the World School group. Somebody mentions my name and then they all say, oh yeah, Liz has really been helpful to us. So hopefully you can check out these testimonials. They're on my website. And okay, so the pricing, the big question. The standard rate is $1,000 US. And I've kind of changed things up. I gave you guys a little bit more time to register with a super early bird rate of $850. That expires Friday, the 27th. Next is the early bird rate, $900. That expires Monday, September 30th. And it starts on Monday, September 30th. So you still get that even if you join a week later. Because like I said, you're getting access to everything. I'm not going to be just releasing things week by week. You just get in, you get access to everything. We're going to have a kickoff Zoom and we'll vote on when we're going to have that. And then we'll decide on when to have the weekly meetings. But you get access to all of it. And again, the pricing, I think to some might be a little surprising, but considering, you know, what's included and that the access forever, I think it's a terrific value. It's so in depth, and it's going to answer so many of your questions. Some people have told me that I should charge even more, but I don't feel comfortable with a big price, a giant price. I just think 1,000, considering all the work I put into it, the value of the intellectual property, everything about Worldschooling and family travel, from my brain being in there, and what I do every week to meet and support you live via the Zoom meetings and all of that. I think it's a great value, especially since you can be a member for many years to come, because hopefully you and your family will be traveling for years to come, even on a part-time basis. So I will be there for you. And I really believe if you follow my tips and from what you learn in the course, you'll save much more than $1,000 in the long run. And with all my budget travel tips, if you want to travel that way, I have people join my course that don't care about traveling on a budget. They just join the course because of all the content and what they learn and the value, to give them more knowledge and confidence and decreasing their stress and overwhelm. But I've had a bunch of single moms on a budget and just families in general on a budget take my course, and multiple people have told me, wow, I didn't know this, we're going to save so much money. I now survey my course participants once they finish the course, and dozens of my past course participants have told me what they learned from this course will save them at least, if not far more than 1,000 during the travels. Okay, so yes, now I have a question. Self-learn or get help? Now let's talk about whether you should either self-learn, figure it out yourself, or take my course. I am a big fan of self-directed learning for myself and for my kids. I've self-taught many things. My kids have as well. There are many things I'm curious about, and I just really like putting in the time and learning about certain topics, whether it's watching YouTube videos, reading a book, reading blog articles, you know, finding Facebook groups about the topic and digging through it and learning, because I do enjoy putting in the time to learn about certain topics in those ways. But other times I think it's preferable to pay for a course, to pay an expert who already knows how to do it or knows a lot about that topic, who can teach me in an A to Z fashion about that topic, about the topic just more efficiently, you know, especially if I don't have time to just figure it out myself and go down a million rabbit holes. You will waste a lot of time going down a million rabbit holes of stuff that might not even be useful for you. So, you know, if you're going to be learning how to start a business, you can dig through the websites, Facebook groups, and social media posts and learn as much as you can, or you can just, you know, take a course and save yourself hundreds of hours that you would spend doing that, and have a business coach teach it to you on a step-by-step fashion. So would you be able to figure out all this traveling stuff by yourself? I kind of doubt it. I'm sorry. It's just the way I do it, and the way I've trained it. It's helped people so much. It's really hard to figure this out just by, you know, checking out some blog articles and Facebook groups. It's just a lot. I share a ton of useful curated info, you know, coming from many, many years that I've been doing this. And yes, there are other world schoolers who are traveling and they could share how they do it, and some of them blog and whatnot. But I've also done a ton of research. I've also worked in alternative education, so I know the education bit really well. And, you know, sometimes people will share how they educate their kids and expect you to do it their way. And that might work, but chances are, because there's so many different ways to learn, I think it's more helpful to know about all the different ways and the pros and cons, because each kid is unique in what they need for learning. And, you know, you might be able to figure out how to become a doctor or lawyer by yourself. I don't know. Or you can go to school for it and learn from people who came before you about all the things that are good to know to become a proficient doctor or lawyer. So think about the time and money that you invested to attend school, university, professional development classes, classes for a hobby, like cooking classes. You know, some of them were useful for you, weren't they? So the topic of travel and world schooling, what is the best way to learn about that? Okay, so again, I offer a way to learn it in a logical step-by-step manner and have information that you can refer to back, all the info, all the video info, it's in written form as well, a lot of it, and you can access it forever from your computer or phone versus like some comment that you saw on a Facebook post or group that you lost. You know, you're going to do a lot of scrolling, and you'll read posts that are just all random. Nothing's in order. It's all randomly presented, and the info is coming to you sporadically. So is your brain good at absorbing all that information in that way and remembering it and categorizing it when you need that info? Are you able to discern also which advice or comment is the right one, as some people in those groups give quite bad advice? So anyway, you could do that, but you might end up making lots and lots of newbie mistakes. And then again, you might be one of the people posting that I see about all the stress and they're overwhelmed and they want to go home early. And, you know, when you're traveling with kids, it's probably not a good idea to wing it. I think you need to think about, you know, their safety. And again, the world is safe, but there are things to look out for, and their well-being as well as yours. So how do you feel about pulling them out of school to start world schooling? Maybe you already homeschool or unschool, which is a great start. I have had families who are already homeschooling take my course, and they still found lots of value into my course, because world schooling is like homeschooling, but on steroids. And, you know, there's just a lot out there in this big, sometimes complex world of ours. So again, you can join all the World School groups and dig around and ask lots of questions and figure things out on the fly. Maybe read a book or blog and get some information. But a past participant of my course said that I teach things that they wouldn't even know to look for in a Facebook group, and they've never even seen it mentioned before. And then after learning it, they realize, wow, this is really useful. Again, so this is a very efficient route. Maybe you like doing things efficiently, learning from somebody who's already done what you're aiming to do. You can do, you know, take the course from someone who's been doing this since 2016 and researching it for a couple of years beforehand. I've worked in alternative education and chatted with hundreds of other families who are thriving in this lifestyle. And I often see some of them are doing things in a weird way. I learned from their mistakes. And of course I make mistakes too, but not so many nowadays, knock on wood. I used to when I was younger, but now I kind of know. So when I see people miss their flight or not do this or that, or have a plan B, or this thing expired, I just think in my head, why did they not know that? I mean, those issues to me are secondary from all the years I've been doing it. So where can you learn in an A to Z fashion how to live this lifestyle and live it well? I see people travel and do it in a way where they burn out and the kids are not happy. They're bickering with their spouse. So I do see that happening. Otherwise, you can solve that by learning from somebody who has all sorts of curated and accurate information in a handy 12-part program on how to world school and travel extensively as a family. You can learn via the info, the training videos that are organized by topic, and it's now all chunked up by video on the course platform and available forever. You can participate in the weekly group Zooms with me. I'm kind of known to be a world school expert now, and you know, other people in the same position you're in have said that. They've been launching their family into this lifestyle, and they've been thriving, so you can as well, and get your questions answered. You can continue to come to these meetings for years and years if you want. So what would you prefer to do? Let me know in the chat if you prefer to self-teach and figure this out yourself, or to have someone and help you calm the overwhelm and let you know in a step-by-step the best way to do it. Okay, so again, if you wing it and hope for the best, I wish you the best. I hope things go really well for you. I just know that you'll have a higher likelihood of having a better, safer, and less stressful trip, whether it's for a month or for many years. Again, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but all the logistics and links and important websites and apps and planning lists and resources that you can easily search that I share with you. And probably another useful thing is regular access to me once a week to ask your questions. And you won't just get encouraging words from me, you'll get practical and well-organized info. So let me know what you think of that. And Laura, she posted this in my last masterclass, and she said, for those of you on the fence for Lizz's course, do it. I know there are some fantastic World School Facebook groups out there with lots of tons of free resources, but you will spend a lot of time scrolling through them and doing your own research. Lizz has already curated the most important things to focus on, and she will connect you to some of the most valuable resources. And then Sonia agreed, and then Sarah agreed as well. So, and Sarah's been to over 40 countries and found my course to be super valuable for their family. Okay, so really grateful for these wonderful, again, organic comments that they just post in my Facebook group and other groups, and I really value that. Okay, so please don't delay in making your World School dreams come true. My 6th cohort, which again, I'm shifting to Evergreen, so I'm still calling this my 6th cohort, but then people can just join. But you get, it's starting again in 7 days. The super early bird discount expires in about 3 days, and the 10% discount expires in 7 days. That's when this cohort starts. Okay, so I hope that you can join in all the fun on learning. I'll email you all who registered for this masterclass the website that has the Stripe payment. It's all professional now. I will show you real quick the website. Again, a bunch of information that, you know, about me that you already learned from this. Oops. Is the internet working? Okay. From this masterclass, but here's the video. Oopsie. Here's the video of the participants of my course who, you know, have been traveling for a while, a bunch of testimonials. And then this is a list of all the different modules. I'm calling them modules now. And I'm going to be putting the masterclass replay here as soon as it's done. And then here you can register for the super early bird rate. And when you click on it, you'll get to this page. Again, with your credit card info, you can put it all in there. And then I just wanted to show, please make sure to read the terms and conditions. It's pretty standard, but make sure to take a look at that. And then you will get access to everything as soon as I get notified. I get a notification, and then I have to click a couple buttons and then give you access to it all. Okay. Also, again, if you're still on the fence about this, you can book a one-on-one Zoom with me. The link is at the bottom of my website. And then you can just click on a date. I don't think there's anything today, but starting tomorrow. So I'm in Pacific. So I have a bunch of times available even on Saturday. And then if you're, again, I don't know, in Australia, I don't know if 7 p.m. my time will work for you. I hope so. I think so. I think it'll work if you're in Asia or Australia. Okay, so you can book a meeting with me and we can have a 30-minute one-on-one and chat about all of this and see if it's a good fit for you guys. And, you know, reach out if you're on the fence. I'm not a hard salesperson. I really don't want people who are not ready to take my course. to take it. You know, I've had meetings with people who still haven't figured out their income and they've still had a lot of ducks to get into a row. So I just said, you know, hey, figure that out first and then come back when you're ready. So let me know if you want to meet one-on-one. As I mentioned, I have that little thing. You can schedule a meeting with me. I'm available this Saturday as well. I think the next couple Saturdays I will be. And yeah, so I hope that I'll be able to help you make your family's travel and Worldschooling dreams come true. But if my course isn't a good fit for you, I really appreciate you watching my masterclass. I wish you and your family the best. I'm happy to connect with more and more globally minded trailblazing families in our Facebook group and elsewhere. So please keep in touch. And yeah, I really appreciate you joining. Just remember, it's not a vacation, it's a lifestyle. Try to be flexible and open-minded. Be open and excited about a big life change. It is a big life change. And again, I can help you make this big life change in a nice way, or hopefully you're not so stressed out and overwhelmed. I think a lot of you can do it, and I really appreciate it. And if you do decide to do it, just don't delay in launching this lifestyle any longer. Kids grow up really fast. Now is the time to do it if you want your kids to be global citizens, which again is more important than ever for kids to understand the world in this interconnected world of ours. And it's going to get even more connected as time goes on. I think you and your family will benefit from this immeasurably. And last thought is, again, imagine that you're on your deathbed, looking back on your life. Think about what kind of memories you want to have and the legacy that you want to create for your family, and just carpe diem, you know, make it happen. So I hope you guys will do it. All right. So let me see if there's any last minute questions here. I really appreciate you guys watching until the end. I appreciate it. And for those of you who missed it, you can watch the replay. I hope I might even post this on the course platform and chunk it up for people to watch in the future. All right, well, I'm here for the last minute questions if anyone has any. I know that Facebook kind of has a little time delay. Courtney said both. Okay, awesome. All right, well, thanks everyone. And I will hopefully see you soon in my course, and reach out if you want to meet one-on-one with me. I would really appreciate it.